with Jim. So obviously people who are on Facebook won't necessarily get that pleasure, but at least they'll be able to see the proceedings if they so wish. So I think we're getting a relatively full room, slowly but surely.
Do the police have access to Facebook?
No.
Oh, well, that's all right. I'll stay.
Entirely locked from anybody like that. No. Why would we want the police to know what was happening in one of our virtual tastings? No.
All right. Thanks for that.
We
You
can't
can get back in your car now, Bill.
we can't get any more socially distanced, can we?
No, that's true.
Yeah, we're getting there slowly. I think it's going to be a bit of an international crowd. I think we've got a few people from far afield. We've got Florida there. I think we might be being joined by someone from Romania, France, Germany, Sweden. I think, is Jeremy on yet or not?
I can't see him yet, but he did say he was coming. So
yeah. So I think we're going to have a bit of an international bunch as well. Stuart might even turn up. Stuart Monroe. We'll still struggle to understand him, but you know. Hiya, Steve Tan. How you doing?
Good, not bad. Not bad.
Good.
It's been a boozy day.
Oh, that's so this could tip you over the edge then. We could be in for some additional entertainment.
I hope not.
And hiya, Malcolm. Have you got your milk ready?
What?
Have you got your milk ready? Oh.
Oh, yes, as well.
Hold on. Just in case.
Oh, I'm Brew. Brilliant. Mike, get rid of him.
I can't. You're a co-host. You can do it.
Here's a question for the panel then, because you look to be all of my similar age. What was the song that I can remember from about 40 years ago that had the line that got me on milk and alcohol? Because seeing that bottle of milk reminded me of that song.
Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be it. Thank you. That would have been bugging me all night trying to think what on earth that song was.
I must be really young because I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right, Carl, we didn't realise.
I didn't know what I was talking about, but I just typed it into Google and came up with this. So
I might have to look at that now.
It's an absolutely cracking track. Everyone should have that on the playlist.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's have a look. How are we doing so far? Have I missed anybody? Let's have a look. Ross, hiya, Ross. Hi, Sarah.
Evening.
Hiya, John. So we're definitely still missing a few people. So if you don't mind, we'll give them a couple more minutes because thank you very much. Everybody's been very prompt tonight. Normally, it's sort of 5 minutes after we're due to start that people start joining the meeting. So,
Carl, maybe you should always put down half an hour before we're due to start.
Yes, I was just going to say that. The problem is, then you'd have even longer to put up with my ranting and raving. I don't want to instill that on anybody. But it's all. This is good, right? Is this the first time? I think we've got at least one person who's never done one of these virtual tastings before. Is everybody else a veteran now of these virtual tastings?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Oh, yes, I'm a victim.
Yeah. Ash, Chris, is this your first? This your first virtual tasting?
Yeah. We spend our day on conference. Yeah, we spend our day on conference calls for work, Carl. So
yeah,
that's why we hate doing Zoom and shit like that personally.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Sometimes needs must, though.
Oh
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
And hopefully this will be a little bit more fun with a bit of whiskey in front of us, which I'm suspecting most of your work meetings don't involve whiskey.
Just gin.
Just
no,
gin.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, the work
I
meeting.
think we should all work with you, Kay. That's definitely the best way to have a meeting.
Yeah. I was distilling at 7:30 yesterday morning.
Wow.
It was brilliant.
That sounds good.
Yeah. Kate works for Warner's, the gin distillery.
Ah.
Now you know where to go if you've got any questions about Warner's gin. Just saying. So we'll just give a couple more minutes because I know I did actually put on 7 o'clock on the paper slips. So apologies if anybody thought we're kicking off at 7. It's actually 7:30 kickoff. So we'll give it a couple more minutes anyway. But for those that are first time joining us on one of our virtual tastings, it's very informal. If you have a question, just raise your hand or mention it in the chat box and either ask a question directly, or if you want me to ask it on your behalf, you can do. A friendly bunch. We're in a safe area. The pub does definitely recognize social distancing and make sure you've washed your effing hands and all the rest of it. So we're all safe. Yeah, just enjoy yourselves. And I don't know what else to say. I'm just kind of rabbiting on.
Did you have the peanuts as well, Carl?
Yeah, but I wouldn't recommend the peanuts, to be honest.
You should have the peanuts and the black pudding on the bar first, at least.
Yeah, no. Actually, because of COVID, we're not putting any food out on the bar. And again, if people are sticking around till 2:46 to break the last record, 2:46 a.m.
How does the clocks going forward affect that?
Oh, actually, good point.
Oh!
You'd have to stay up to 3:46.
Yeah, you have to stay here till at least 3:46 a.m. To break the record. And if you do stay and you're the last person, please remember to turn the lights off and lock up, because I think the last people didn't. So, you know, disgraceful. Hiya, Des. How you doing? You all right? Good. So I'd like to see. Hey, terrible. I haven't actually put out this chair for you, Rain. Sorry, I have to be a second. Just be a second. I'll go and get a chair.
Shocking.
Shocking, I know.
Enjoy your divorce, Carl.
Now, I know there's a charity auction on tonight, but I didn't expect tonight to be that expensive.
Who'll have custody of the whiskey?
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
I've heard of people arguing over the dogs and the kids, and they like the dogs, but the whiskey's going to be the really hard one.
Well, I have a feeling that I used to be safe with my Isla whiskey collection, but no longer, because Lorraine's got as much into them as I have, I think, just about.
All right, I'll look after you.
Not saying hi. Yeah, there's Lorraine. Now. It's just because we're sat in our dunnage warehouse of a basement and it's relatively cold, so she's come down with water bottle and stuff. So.
I did wonder what you were going to say there, Carl. You were starting to get me worried.
Right, how are we doing it? Is everybody got a nice drink with them for the moment while we're just waiting to kick things off?
Nice one. Springbank, the old label. Wow.
Oh, very nice. The Abunde, yeah. Which batch is that, Jason? You're on mute.
63.
63, okay, because I think we're on 66 is the latest release, isn't it? The batch 66, yeah.
It was on Amazon Prime on Prime Day.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people bought the odd bottle or 5 on Prime Day using the evil Amazon. Disgrace.
What did we do before Amazon found a way of getting money out of us?
I know, it's disgraceful. Hiya, Ian. Hiya, Shamini. I hope I pronounced that correctly. You well? You're dialing in from, is it from Sweden?
Hello, Carl. No, I'm from Norway.
Norway, sorry, right. Well, hello from Norway. Oh, To Norway.
Hello, and you pronounce my name almost right. It's Chamonix.
Chamonix.
Yeah. Or
Well-
you can just call me Charlie. That's fine as well.
All right. Well, that's a first because I very rarely pronounce anything correctly. So
I was impressed you got the letters in the right order, Carl.
yeah, cheers, Steve. Thanks very much.
Well,
Hiya, Gary. How you doing?
Hey, Carl. How are you, mate?
Yes, good, good. Hiya, Chris. So I think we are just about hitting the start time. So we can start off. And can I ask that because we've got a bigger group tonight than perhaps normal, would everybody just mute themselves for the time being? And I'll just very quickly explain that what we'll do is between Jim and I, so Jim's already with us. Thank you very much, Jim, for joining us.
Welcome.
The star of the show definitely isn't me tonight. No, it's Jim tonight. Hi, Callum. Hi, Kate. And tonight, what we'll do is between Jim and I, we'll have a quick chat. But like I say, if you've got any questions, just stick it in the chat box or raise a hand because we don't stand on ceremony tonight. And it's very much about you guys. If you would like to ask Jim a question, please jump in. But if you could just mute yourself for the kickoff. And then once we've had a little bit of a chat and got under the skin of Jim a bit, if that's all right.
Yeah, fire away.
We've then got the 5 whiskies for those that have got the tasting sets. And then finally, we'll have probably a little bit more chat between us. And then we've got the charity auction tonight, which again, and I've probably pronounced this wrong all the way through, but it's for Gorton Vogie Care Home on Isla. It's the only care home on Isla. And we're raising some really much needed funds for a very worthy cause. And because of you guys, we've already raised well over £600 from everybody donating when they bought the tasting set. And then tonight we've got some fantastic bottles as well in the auction at the end. So please stick around till the end because I think you'll kick yourself if you miss the auction. And the last one was great fun as well. Yeah. Without further ado, the exits are everywhere. So if you hear a fire alarm, which is not due to go off tonight, you know how to get the heck out, but you won't need it. So let's crack on. Jim.
Good evening.
First of all, you're a bloody hero of mine, so I'm not going to say anything negative. I mean, I just can't believe that you agreed to come along and sit with us tonight and do this. I mean, I don't know, have you done one of these kind of virtual tastings with such attractive people?
I haven't done many virtual tastings, but I've done 1 or 2 other tastings around the world. And yeah.
I had a feeling you've done quite a few face-to-faces, but
yeah.
How many on the virtual side of things?
This is good.
Yeah, good. Well, I mean, Jim, I mean, I don't know, you know, when I first found out that you were up for having a chat with us, I thought, what the heck kind of questions could I ask you? You know, and it's a tough one because you've done so many interviews. I mean, I've read a few of the interviews that you've done in the past, and everybody kind of seems to ask kind of similar questions. And, you know, I don't know if you guys know Jim particularly well, but I thought maybe if we start off with just asking Jim, you know, how on earth did he find himself, you know, in this situation of working from, I believe, from the age of 15 officially in a district?
That's right, yeah.
You know, how did you find yourself so quickly getting so deep into whiskey?
Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the whiskies we have sharing tonight. And the fact there's a charity going on as well for Goach and Bogey, the old folks' home in Bowmore. I'm a Bowmore guy. Have most of you been to Isla?
Is everybody?
Has anybody
I
been,
will.
Tyler?
I wish.
Well, you're very
We'll
welcome.
get it sorted, Eddie.
Yes.
It's a kind of special place, as you know. And right now, we're just like everybody else, we're in lockdown, but we're lucky we've got 9 distilleries producing this amazing drink that destroys the COVID. It's absolutely brilliant. It's called Islay Whiskey. Can you imagine drinking Lafroig? It would destroy anything, you know. So we're all right. We're quite happy with that. And Octomore, full strength, without water, that would kill Cook. That would kill anything, you know. So all is well in Islay. The ferries are running, and the distilleries are not working. Unfortunately, they're closed down there because of COVID. Other than that, everything in Islay is fine. It's a real pleasure for me to be talking to yourselves. It's the first time I've done this particular show, and I've done lots of tastings, as you can imagine, in my lifetime. I often wondered how many glasses I have put to my nose and how many drams have I drunk in 57 years. Can you imagine? I should not be alive. I mean, I should be. If I was cremated, it would take about 2 seconds to burn, you know what I mean? I'm gone.
Maybe that's what's keeping you alive, Jim.
Sorry?
Maybe that's what's keeping you alive.
You're not the first one to say that, but yes, I'm still in the business. I've got my own line of casks called the Cask Whisperer. That's my company name, the Cask Whisperer. That name came about because I used to talk to the casks and the glass. When I was going through the warehouses, I would take a sample, like this one I have here, and I would nose it. And I would talk to it. I would say, oh my God, you are just beautiful. Or I would say to it, no, you're not ready yet. I'm going to come back and see you in 6 months. And some people will be walking past, you know, the warehouse tours or that, and they'll see this guy talking to a glass. And they all thought I was absolutely drunk. Excuse me, that chap in there is talking to a glass. Yeah, that was me that was talking to the glass. I've always talked to the whiskey, you know. So yeah, 57 years is a long time. I was born about a stone's throw from Bowmore Distillery. I was born in Main Street, Bowmore. Have any of you people been to Bowmore?
Yep.
Yeah, well, one of you had. Well, Bowmore is the capital, of course. And I was born about a couple of 100 yards away from Bowmore Distillery. And Bowmore Distillery became my playground. I was always in there sweeping floors or becoming a nuisance. And there was many, many days I didn't actually go to school, because to get to school, you had to go past the malt barns at the distillery. So I would press my face up against the wire netting. There was wire netting on the windows to stop the birds going in, you understand, to eat the grain. And I'd be standing there and I'd be looking in, and the old boys would be in there turning the malt by hand. It was floor malting. There was no drum maltings or anything mechanical. It was all floor malting. And it was the aroma that was coming through that window that really got me. You had the aroma of the sweet malt being turned. You had the aroma of sweat on the men's brow. And there was also the aroma of whiskey, because the men used to get a dram when they were turning the floor of the white whiskey, when they turned the floor. And I was fascinated. I was pressed up. And very often on a Monday and Wednesday, that's the day they transferred the green malt up to the kiln for drying. I'd be going by and I'd look in the window, and old Sandy would say, oh, Jim, don't go to school today. Come in and sweep the floors. And I'd go in and sweep the floor. That was all very well. But I got into serious trouble, because when I went home, having not gone to school, when I went home, I was smelling of pipe smoke, alcohol, and malted barley. And my mother used to catch me. She said, come here. And she got a hold of me by the ear, and she would smell me. And she would say, you've been in that bloody distillery again. Did you go to school today? I said, yeah, I was at school. What did you learn? 1415, the Battle of Bannockburn. She said, you've learned that for the last 6 months. Is it not time you moved on? So I was going to bed with no supper, that's for sure, because the smell of the smoke was off me. But I was very, very lucky. At the age of 15, I knocked on the distillery manager's door. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, yes. Well,
Yeah.
everybody all right? All good?
Yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, it's good. And I knocked on the distillery manager's door and I was extremely apprehensive. He knew me and I knew him, but I'm just a kid, I'm only 15. And I asked him for a job, any job in the distillery. And he said, well, I'm not sure, but I'll get back to you. And he did, and he offered me a job, just as working in the warehouses, painting barrels, pushing barrels and all that sort of stuff. So on August the 1st, 1963, I stepped into the doors of Beaumont. Now, you work that one out. August 1, 1963. It's been a long journey. And that was the start of it, of this 57 years in the business. My heart was in cooperage. There was a cooperage up a moor where they were making the barrels. And there was just something about the coopers. They were strong, they were firing the cask, the sweat, the alcohol. I wanted to be a cooper. It was so masculine, you understand? I wanted to be one of these guys. And fate was on my side. I tried to get an apprenticeship, but the Coopers Union, who are a very strong union, there's a union of coopers, and they keep the numbers suppressed. It's all changed now because it's machines that build the barrels now. And if it's not machine built, they're coming in on container ships from America. There's no building of barrels anymore. But at that time, we were the casks coming from America, they would knock the casks down in the States, tie them up in bundles, and they would go on to ships. They'd be shipped over to Scotland, and then we would reassemble them, and we would make a barrel into a hogshead. We'd add more staves, do you understand? So instead of 40 gallons, we were getting 50 gallons. That's the difference between a barrel and a hogshead. I'm sure you're all familiar with the term of a hogshead and a barrel. So we were reconstructing the barrels into a bigger size, 55 gallons. And so I was desperate to become a cooper, and fortune smiled upon me. My late mother, Peggy, she used to clean a lawyer's office in Beaumont. He was the only lawyer on the island. And I used to call in there to pick up my mum, walk up the street with her, you know, and give her a hand to polish the desks and get finished. And this particular night, I went into the office and the solicitor was still there. And he said, "Hi, Jim, how are you doing?" I said, "I'm doing fine, thanks." He's a lawyer, I'm just a tearaway, you know. And he said, "Are you happy at the distillery?" I said, "Yeah, I'm quite happy." He said, "But you don't sound too certain." I said, "No, not really. It was always my dream to become a cooper. Coopers were special, you know." So he said, "What's stopping you becoming a cooper?" I said, "Well, the Coopers Union is very strong, and you have to have 4 coopers for 1 apprentice. In most trades, you have a tradesman and an apprentice." And so there wasn't enough coopers at the distillery to grant me. There was 3 coopers working, you needed 4. So that conversation was forgotten about, and about probably a month later, he said to my mum, he said, "Peggy, tell Jim I want to see him." And I'm thinking, the lawyer wants to see me? What the hell have I done? I knew, what did I do wrong? I did lots of stuff wrong, but I didn't justify a lawyer, you understand? I wasn't in for manslaughter or that. Anyway, I went to the gentleman's office and he said, "Sit down, Jim." And he handed me a letter from the Coopers Union of Scotland. And this was a letter he had written to them and asked could they look upon me kindly and give me an apprenticeship with 3 coopers because we didn't have 4. And our cooperage was the longest serving cooper in the world, David Bell. When you become a cooper, you get a number. And when somebody retires, you go up 1 or you drop 1. And eventually you could become number 1, you understand? And he showed me this letter from the Coopers Union. And because of the status of David Bell, the number 1 cooper, they granted me a special opportunity to start as an apprentice cooper. So that was amazing. So that was the first bit of good luck I had. And so I became apprentice to the #1 cooper in the world. I loved being a cooper. You know, the Egyptians built the first cask. It wasn't the Scots, it was the Egyptians who did it. That's how far back it goes. But it's quite easy to understand when you think the Egyptians built the pyramids. Building Baals was a walk in the park, you know what I mean? So I became an apprentice cooper, and I served a 5-year apprenticeship there.
Jim, can I just ask, what was it about coopering that really got you as a kid? You know, like thinking that's what I want to do.
It was just the sheer masculinity of it, the smells of the men sweating, and you had the fires burning, charring the casks and all that, and the men were having whiskey and all that. And the cooperage was the most popular place in the distillery because it was always warm. There was always a dram in the cupboard. So everybody came to the cooperage, the maltman, the stillman. There was always somebody coming and going. So it was the kind of the beating heart of the distillery, you know. So I served my apprenticeship 5 years and became the cooper at Bowmore. And my teacher, old Mr. Bell, I'll just tell you a story. Just pick up your first glass and you can listen to the story as it's your first one is the Bruichladdich. It's a bar, a bourbon bar, and you've got it there. It's, what was the age in that?
It's a 13-year.
13-year, strength 63.1%.
63.1, yeah.
So it's quite strong, yeah. That's one I made myself.
So this is #1 on your samples.
Yeah, I'll talk you through this and then I'll continue my story. Apart from being a cooper, I got promoted in time to becoming the head warehousman. So I was responsible for all the casks at Bowmore to make sure they weren't leaking, to make sure they were filled properly, to make sure they were transported to Glasgow for blending purposes and that. So I got the job of my dreams. And then at the age of 28, I was running the warehouses and I got the opportunity from Morris and Bowmore Distillers. Their chairman said, Jim, how would you fancy training to become a blender? And I thought, yeah, that would be good. I was always anxious to learn. So that was the second part of my career at 28. I moved to Glasgow anybody here tonight from Glasgow? Right, you'll know this place well. I was transferred to a blending hall. It was an old carpet factory. In Bridgeton used to be a lot of carpet factories down there. I believe that's right. Who is the name of the carpet maker down there? Very famous name in carpet making. Anyway, it was an old carpet factory. And they were doing bulk export and container export of blends around the world. This was still Bowmore, still the same company. So I transferred out there to train as a blender. And it was a complete contrast. I've come from Bowmore, which is quiet and gentle, and I end up in a place called Brigton. Now, Brigton has got a reputation. It's quite close to Celtic Park if you follow football. So that's when I started to train as a blender. But before I tell you that story, could we pick up your first dram for the first one? I think is it a Bruichladdich?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep, the Bruichladdich, yep. #1, Bruichladdich.
#1, a Bruichladdich, it's cask number 3066. The age, according to this, is 13 years old, and it's pretty strong. It is 63.1. So it's very, very strong. So before I continue with my story, I want to teach you, or not teach you, I can't teach you anything because you know more than me. But you have, when you're a blender, you have to have a system. You must treat each whiskey exactly the same, with the same diligence and the same concentration. So how to evaluate whiskey is really important. You stick to your own rules. We've all got our own style. Some people like a lot of water, some people don't like water, Some people have their own glasses and all that sort of stuff. So you have to create your own style, because what you're doing when you're judging in competitions, it's a single malt distiller or a blender. It's really important you give it your best shot because you are judging somebody else's work. You understand? What gives me the right to judge you? I'm just an ordinary guy and I'm judging you whiskey. So I have a system which I've been using throughout my life. And I'll talk you through it. You might think it's a load of junk, but I don't really care. It works for me. And I've been doing this for 57 years. So if you pick up the Bruichladdich, the first one, take a note of this if you want to know the 6 steps. I call this the 6 steps to success with single malt. The 6 steps to success with single malt. When you're judging in a competition, you must be consistent with every glass. You must give every glass the same time and the same attention. So the first thing I do is look at the colour. What does the colour tell you? It should tell you the type of the cask, right? But as you know, there's more and more E150 being used now than ever before. There's so much caramel colouring being put into whiskey, it's ridiculous. You know, I hate E150. I hate caramel colouring. I like the natural colour, and all these whiskies here have got natural colour. So step number 1 is the colour. That gives you some idea as to the type of casks. You've got this one here. This has come from, it's a bourbon bar, was it? This one? No, this, what was this first
This
one?
is a refill sherry.
Refill sherry, a Bruichladdich, 63.1. Oh, I've got the colour now. That's better, refill sherry. It's a great colour for being a refill sherry. So how do I do it? I look at the colour and it tells me it's a sherry cask. And I want to look at the weight of it, the body. So what I do, I take this finger, can you see this? You can try this with me. Have you all got glasses with stems? You all have glasses with stems. That's perfect. So what I do, I want to find out if it's been chill filtered or not. I want to see if the oil is still in there. So I take the glass and I turn it round, just like that, and I never spill a drop.
You might, just as a suggestion, everybody, you might want to turn it onto speaker view. And then
rest the glass on top of your finger. Don't do your finger at the bottom. That's really stupid. You're going to spill the whiskey. Just rest the glass there. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah, that's better. That's better. Yeah.
And I'm turning it round and I'm not spilling it. So what I'm doing, as an international judge, this is what I do. And then I hold it up and I watch the speed of the teardrops falling and I look at the spaces between them. Now, because it hasn't been chill filtered, look how slow they are running. Look at the spaces between them. They are just clinging to the glass, which is delightful. It tells me it has not been chill filtered. Can you see that quite clearly?
Yep.
Yeah.
Certainly on my glass I can anyway.
I call it teardrops. So I know the body is good. It's got a really good body. I'm holding it up there. It's perfect. I'm looking for teardrops. I use the same procedure for every dram I've ever tasted. So I know it's got a good full body and it's not chill filtered. In competitions, you are judging blind. You understand? They don't tell you the name of the product. They tell you the region. So you have to work it out. So the next thing you want to do, obviously, is you look at the colour. We've got the colour. It's a sherry. That's good. You've got the weight of it. It's a medium body. And then you want to nose it. Now, everybody's got their own style. Obviously, the best way to do it is to nose it without water. Do not put your nose in really deep into the glass and inhale, because your eyes will fall out. You understand? It's quite a violent reaction. So just smell it. And what you're looking for is the notes. First of all, you're looking, is there any off notes? In whiskey, it's rare to find an off note. Generally comes if it's a bad cask or a tired cask. So just nosing it gently. Is there anything in there that you don't like? You're going to get all the flavours you normally get. You're going to get the fruit, you're going to get the oak, you're going to get the malt and all that sort of stuff. And then taste it. Another little trick I do, I show you this. I'm holding the glass in this hand. I will touch the whiskey with my finger. Can you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
And I hold it up. Now, it's not falling off my finger and I'm sitting upright. which means it hasn't been chill filtered. You see that? The natural oil is keeping it on there. That's a good sign. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
So it's got viscosity. Now that little drop that's on your finger, just see that little drop there on your finger? Just take it and rub it in the palm of your hand, on your left hand or your hand, and just look at it. Look at the viscosity that's in there. Just rub it in there. Look at the beautiful oil that's in there. Do you see that? That oil is there because it hasn't been chill filtered. So that's step number 2. So you've got to look at it. You've got the body. Now you want to get the nose. So you're nosing it. You're working out. You see the colour. It's a sherry cask. Most people put their nose deep into the glass and they inhale, and then their eyes fall out, which is brilliant. Just nose it gently. Is there anything there that you don't like? You're going to like 99% of it. Is there any off notes there of what's coming through? Obviously, the fruitiness and the sherry is coming through, but it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. So, you're all right. So when you're judging, you've got to add water. There's nothing very clever about being macho. A lot of people say, oh, I drink my single malt without water. Well, that's up to you. You're paying the money. To find out what's in there, you've got to add the water. It's like raindrops and roses. The smell of a rose is beautiful, but after a shower of rain, the bouquet is incredible. So you're using the water to release the aromas. I'm going to try and hold this up to you. It's really not very good to see. I mean, can you see my glass?
Yeah.
Just talk to me. I'm quite a nice guy, you know. Now watch what happens. I'm going to separate this.
Raise your glass a touch there. Sorry, Jim. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
Now look what happens. What's at the top? Can you see that? All the oil has come to the top. Just look at that. Have you got it?
Yeah.
You got it? So the oil comes to the surface. Do you manage to do that, anybody? Please talk to me. I'm a nice guy.
Yes, it looks fantastic.
Yes. Got the oil there. That means it hasn't been chill filtered. So when somebody gives you a dram and they're trying to catch you out because you're a single malt fan, don't take a wild guess. Go through this system. Hasn't been chill filtered? No, there's all the oil floating there. Perfect. So I know it's not been chill filtered. And once you've got it there, mix it. Give it a good mix. Mix it well.
Nobody will be wanting to add water at the moment, Jim, until we've tried it.
Well, I'll try it first. Sorry, I missed that. Try it first. Taste it. So I was getting ahead of myself there. So you get the body, you nose it with no water, and you taste it with no water. And see how you get on. And then you'll see what a great difference the water makes. So step number 1 is the colour. Step number 2 is looking at the teardrops falling, the body. Step number 3, you nose it with no water. Step number 4 is you taste with no water. And then we'll go on to the next one. Have a little taste of that. Oh, it's beautiful. That is stunning. The sweetness of the fruit, its sultanas, its raisins, it's just got the whole bit. Absolutely beautiful, but it does need water. Remember, raindrops and roses. There's nothing to be ashamed of adding water. All professional blenders, we add water. So I'm going to add the water again, a little bit more. Try and separate it. See, when you add the water, add it gently. See if you can split it the way I split it, down the side of the glass. Just put it down the side of the glass.
Jim, you obviously had water to taste, but is there a rule of thumb that you'd recommend as the ratio of whiskey to water?
No, it depends on the strength of the alcohol. Because this is a strong alcohol. This one is 63.1. So it'll take a bit of water. So I've added the water to it, swirled it round. Now I've reduced the alcohol so it's safe to go into the glass. I can put my nose right into the glass. There's no off notes there. It's beautiful. Bruichladdich is a naturally fruity distillation anyway, and you've got the added fruit from the sherry cask as well, so it's absolutely beautiful. No professional would ever evaluate whiskey without adding water. So I'm going to have a little taste of this. Now, isn't that better to drink? Isn't that easier to drink? The sweetness is coming through. You've opened it up. It's like raindrops on roses. The whole thing is just opening up. It's beautiful. I've written tasting notes on all of my whiskies tonight. I'm going to read you this tasting note. This is what I found. It takes me about 45 minutes to write a tasting note. I keep going back to it. I can't sit for 45 minutes with my nose in a glass. So I have a little smell, a little taste. It takes about 45 minutes. I'll just read this out to you. I said the aromas and flavors. I said it opens on a basket of fruit, sultanas, dates, and red currant, leading into the lighter notes associated with Bruichladdich, which is apricot, pear, and overlaid by the richness of plump sherry grapes. As you go deeper, the beautiful crisp sweetness of the Islay barley. This is Islay barley. It's not Scottish barley, it's Islay barley. The sweetness of the Islay barley gently moves in like an incoming tide. We are in the ocean. We know what an incoming tide is like. The viscosity from the sherry soaked oak gives the spirit an amazing texture. Smooth as silk and a joy to the nose. Also, you get that Atlantic overture. That gives us that citrus note. Because we are in the Atlantic, we get a citrus lemon note comes through. It's like lockets. As the spirit opens, little hints of sea pinks, heather in bloom, yellow gorse, freshly cut barley. It's Islay and it's Jerez in harmony. Remember, it's a sherry cask. So you've got the west coast of Scotland and you've got Spain. The quality and skill of the crew at Bruichladdich is the real DNA. Never forget the people who make it. Everybody talks a lot about this and that, but at the end of the day, it's down to the guys who are working during the night, and they produce this beautiful, sophisticated, handcrafted dram, and it's been matured full term on Islay. Bruichladdich is the only distillery on Islay, and well, Kilchoman as well, to be fair. Most of the Islay whisky is transferred off the island one day after it's made and matured in Glasgow. This is full term Islay. Does that make a difference? Definitely. We're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. So it's matured by the shores of Loch-and-Dol. The warmth of both the Jerez and Islay is evident throughout. It's a dram that's best enjoyed late, when the cares of tomorrow must wait until this day is done. This is one sitting by yourself, a bit of a fire on, you're contemplating, and it's just one of these easy, smooth drinking drams. The cares of tomorrow must wait until this day is done. It's a great evening dram. So that was your Bruichladdich. I write lots of tasting notes, and they might sound a wee bit flowery to you, but I don't really care. It's what I do, you know what I mean? Any comments on that, Bruichladdich?
I think we might have had a couple of questions. I know Kim just asked a question there now. Kim, do you want to dive in? And Kay, did you have a question earlier? I'll come back to you. Sorry, Kay, if I've missed you. But Kim, you've got a quick question based on this.
Yeah. My question was more to you, Carl. I've had these bottles before and managed to get the whiskies out, but this one's tricking me. Is there an easy way to get the whiskey out of these bottles?
Well, actually, yeah, you've and apologies to everybody who's had the sample sets. I experimented with the little plastic bottles to see if that was easier and safer to send in the post, and they are a pain in the ass because I tested one and I agree. All I can suggest is that I used my teeth and just took the cap off.
I have to second the note of teeth. Definitely the way to go.
Right, because I've had these before from you, but the sides were softer, so you could squeeze them.
Yeah,
but these are like half glass.
Out. Yeah, but one of the problems is that even when you squeeze it out, there's still a tiny bit left, and there's no way I'm wasting any. What about you guys?
Sorry, Jim, that wasn't for you.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Jim?
You can ask 20 questions.
Yeah, sorry, Bill here. It's with regard to the water. I'm somebody who adds water to virtually all whiskies at different strengths. But something as powerful as this, how do you sort of, from your obviously experience, you know what to put in the glass almost. But for someone like myself, I mean, I'll either probably use a teaspoon like Ralphie rather than a pipette. And I try and find it that way by just dropping. Is there a sort of a 1 teaspoon for every?
No, I've never heard of that before. I think it's nonsense.
Good.
Use a little jug. See this little jug? And at your age in life, if you haven't learned how to put water into whiskey, you should give up drinking.
I was a late starter.
You should go to the vodka man. Leave us in peace. That's a great. See that story you've just told me. I want to tell that around the world. I'm going to tell everybody. No, seriously, it's very much. Some people like cast strength whiskey. I don't think you get the best out of cast strength because it's just too volatile. And like I say, remember, raindrops on roses. The water just allows a whiskey to breathe, and out come the aromas. So it doesn't matter what you use to add the water. I would always recommend, as a professional blender, we would never evaluate whiskey ever without water. It's just a no-no. You don't do it. And I've worked with the best blenders in the world. Even if you international competitions, I'm sitting around a table, and I've got probably 7 or 8 of the best noses in the world. Guess what? They all add water. They all add water.
So Jim, I've got a question for you. Your notes that you've just made were amazing. You know, like in terms of just listening to what you got out of that dram.
Yeah.
Just curious if you can give us any hints as to how you manage to put, if you like, what you're tasting and what you're nosing into words. You know, because I think I'm not the only one who perhaps struggles to make that connection between what I'm actually experiencing in terms of the taste and smell into a viable description. And I'm wondering if you've got any hints as to how you do that.
Yeah, well, it's really quite simple. I mean, I left school at 15. I didn't go on any courses to learn how to nose or that. It's just by doing it regularly. I became a cooper, you know, and a blender. When you become a blender, that's when you really start to learn how to use your nose. So I trained for 3 years as a blender. Then I became a chief blender. And no blender I've ever met in my career would ever evaluate whiskey without adding water. The 6 steps I gave you, that's what you do. It's the colour, it's the body, nose with no water, taste with no water, nose with water and taste with water. That's the 6 steps, you know. How much water you add depends on the alcohol in the bottle. But you know yourself what you want. I can't tell you how much sugar you take in your coffee. That's entirely up to you. I don't know how much milk. So how much water you add is up to you, but based upon the actual alcohol strength. You need that just to open it up, release the bouquet. So whether you use a teaspoon or what you use, it doesn't really matter. You could use a bucket. It doesn't really bother me too much. I know by the strength of the alcohol, I'm going to have to add some water into it. It's a whole new experience. You must release it.
Yeah. But I mean, is there a way, do you have some sort of methodology for how you then put what you're tasting and you're nosing into some sort of viable description? Because obviously you've done that. You've with this latest dram, you provided an amazing kind of thoughts around what you were trying. How do you you know, when you first approached this whiskey, what did you do to then put it down into words?
Well, you've got to have a bit of imagination and not be afraid to say what's in your mind. There's so many whiskey geeks out there. If some of the words that I use is what I'm finding. But if you look at some of the descriptives that are put in whiskey books and stuff like that, they're just incoherent. It's not possible to get these flavours and aromas like it's like wet bitumen on a Tuesday morning in November. You're having a laugh, mate. You know, you don't put tar down in a wet morning. So it's all that sort of bullshit stuff out there. So just see what you see. I mean, that's a expression, or see what you taste, you know. And this is a beautiful, beautiful dram, and it's speaking for itself. And you just build up a vocabulary. And you know, as I go through, I've written tasting notes for everything, which I'll send to you. And if anybody here tonight wants the said tasting notes of tonight's tasting, you can have a copy.
Yeah, if you like, yeah, we'll get them distributed so everybody can see what.
Yeah, definitely.
That would be good. So, so that was the Bruichladdich, absolutely fantastic.
Jim, can I just ask a question just before we move on, if you don't mind?
Yeah, fine away.
Thank you very much. So this would have been one of the casks that you would have kind of put to rest before you left Bruichladdich. And then you went to Ardnahoe. And I'm just interested because when you went to Ardnahoe, I think you were looking more at bourbon than you were sherry. So I'm just interested to understand, obviously Bruichladdich have used a number of casks over the years, wine as well as sherry, as well as a whole bunch of things. Is there a reason when you went to Ardnahoe you decided to go more back towards the bourbon, or is it just something you wanted to try around the wood?
Well, I'm a huge bourbon cask fan, and the quality is consistent, and there's plenty of them. I mean, bourbon is just flying, as you know. It's very, very popular now. And I've been out to Kentucky, and I've been to the cooperages, and I've been to distilleries, and absolutely phenomenal. The thing today is there's a lot of wine casks being used, which is great, because the sherry industry is just not happening. If I asked anybody tonight, when did you last buy a bottle of sherry? You might struggle to remember. You know,
yesterday, Jim.
Yeah, there's always one. So I'm really sad that the availability of sherry casks is just not there anymore. And sherry went through a bad time, and there was a lot of fake stuff coming in. They were using Paxarette, and they were just scouring it inside the barrel to make it look like sherry. There was a lot of fakery coming in. So that put the Scotch guys on a red alert. You've got to be sure you're getting from a decent house in Jerez, you know, or Great Fino or Montalado, and there was no guarantee there. But you were guaranteed with a bourbon cask every time. The quality is absolutely great. So at Bruichladdich, we were probably one of the leaders in using wine casks, because there's no sherry available. We were using Margaux, Latour, Lafite, Yquem. We were using some of the greatest wines in the world to give that fruit flavour. And we took a lot of criticism for that, but now everybody else is doing it as well. And it gives a different flavour, so it's not always you're getting bourbon all the time. I mean, I did Octomore and Chateau d'Yquem. Can you imagine that?
Yes, I can.
That was Beauty and the Beast. I mean, you shouldn't do that, but you got to live. You know, life is a roller coaster, so you got to be brave and go for it. If you don't try it, nobody will ever learn. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, sherry casks are hard to come by. It's just a fact. But wine casks do a good job.
And I guess with the tie-up from Mark having come from wine,
and Simon as well.
Yeah, Simon as well, of course. But I guess that kind of gave you the ability to play.
That was, you're right, and your description was right to play. The fun can you still hear me? Can you see me? Yeah?
Yep.
There we are. Yeah, Mark and Simon did a fantastic job. They had all the first growths, you know, they're the best from Bordeaux, and it was a kaleidoscope of flavours coming through. I mean, I remember, as I said a moment ago, can you imagine putting Octomore and Chateau d'Yquem? That was Beauty and the Beast. And everybody said it'll never work. And it worked. It was absolutely incredible. It shouldn't work. So I think in that respect, we changed the world's perception of finishing. And, you know, talk about finishing. We never called it finishing, because finishing is a negative term. You don't put it in a cask to finish. So we called it an enhancement, you know. So did you enjoy the Bruichladdich, everybody?
So do you just want to give a thumbs up?
Absolutely.
Sideways, thumbs down, our usual kind of approach. I think that's a lot of thumbs up there I'm seeing.
Well, I'm glad because I made it, and if you didn't like it, I was going to walk away.
Oh, it's definitely.
I was going to go and watch the telly.
Absolutely.
No.
Yeah. I don't know. We've got a question in from John, and then maybe if anybody wants to jump in with what they thought themselves of the whiskey, and again, if you've got any questions. But John, you've got a question. Fire away.
It's not John. It's Joe.
Oh, sorry, Joe.
Jim. Sorry, Jim. I forgot your name there. I went blank. You obviously I've watched the documentary about yourself and your history, and in the documentary there was a lot of women featured, like master distillers.
Yeah.
Was that a conscious decision, or is that because there's a lot more women in the industry now?
It's a good point. I kind of lost your picture, honey.
We're not there. I don't
It's
think
okay.
it's working.
But, there's more and more women now coming in or being invited to join nosing and tasting panels. And when I started as a blender, it was a guy with a golf ball nose who was the chief blender, and he couldn't smell Vicks if he held it up to him, you know. So what we had to go through with Pemp and Scotch whisky research, we had to go through courses, and you were eliminated if you couldn't make the mark. You were blind tasting, and eventually you evolve. The ones with the good noses are quite easy to identify because they're getting the flavors right all the time. It's not just in the old days you become a chief blender because your uncle was the chief blender or your dad was the chief blender and all that sort of stuff. Or you stayed sober, you know, because blenders were notorious for enjoying a dram. And so the tasting panels were formed. Pemp and Scotch Whisky did a great stuff. Scotch Malt Whisky Society, all these people. And there's an argument to say that a woman has a better sense of smell than a man has. I have no comment on that at all. I don't know enough about the human body, but I know some great female nosers, and I've judged with them. And they have got different descriptive terms rather than I would have, you know what I mean? Because I'm living in an island and I'm smelling different things. And yeah, so it's great to see more and more women coming onto nosing and tasting panels. Absolutely brilliant.
Did you consciously choose those women for the documentary, or did it just?
No, you don't deliberately choose. They have to be tested. So they will go through a rigorous testing. You'll be given maybe 20 different aromas. And it's a case of elimination. You've got to make it. Not because you've got a nice perfume on or because you're wearing stiletto heels. You're chosen because you've got a good nose, and that's really, really important. And so there's more and more women coming into the business now on tasting panels. Within each company, you will have a tasting panel, and I guarantee you that 40–50% of the tasting panels will be female, which is brilliant.
Definitely, I agree.
I guess, Jim, that I think the kind of, I guess to paraphrase or to kind of take what Joanne's saying, I think one of the things she's alluding to is how much of the film were you able to influence and decide who appeared alongside you in your documentary. And if anybody's not seen it, it's called The Golden Dram. And it's a wonderful thing to watch. If you get a chance to watch it, it's just fantastic. But one of the things is in that there's a lot of different people turn up and take a part in that program, Jim. And I guess did you kind of formulate your plan as to who is appearing in that, and how much did you sort of take control of that, or was it pretty much you turned up, you did your bits, and everything else was kind of almost formulated around you?
Well, the crew that were making the movie had never made a movie about Scotch at all, you understand? So I was leading them because I wanted to get the correct story across. I didn't want a Hollywood blockbuster, you know what I mean? I wanted it to be earthy and honest, and sincere, because that's what we are. That's the business we're in, sincerity and honesty and integrity. So yeah, otherwise I wouldn't have done it, because This is
Yeah.
my life. This is my country, you know. So the fact that it's quite simple. Even today, there's not that many women, Joe, that drink single malt. You know, I've sat in bars all around the bloody world, and it's very seldom you see a woman going up and asking for a single malt. So for some reason, you haven't done a very good job in attracting the fairer sex. But I can assure you that in the nosing panels throughout Scotland, I'm sure there will be as many women as there are men in that panel, because their sense of smell and their taste is good. I mean, fantastic, and they've got a different a mindset to it as well.
Thank you. That was a fab answer. And just one more question about your documentary. Did you mean to make us all cry?
Sorry, did I?
Did you mean to make us all cry?
Did you cry?
Oh, sobbed. My husband had a tear in his eye as well. Hands up, who didn't cry?
I had a little bit of a tear in my eye as well.
You did.
Well, Joe, it's whiskey's an emotional business, and there is no drink in the world. For example, here in Islay, when somebody we know, and we know everybody, when somebody dies and you go to the graveside, and it's a really sad occasion because I've lost some good friends quite recently, and it is the tradition, once the body has been lowered into the grave, the family will go round, everybody, all the mourners, with bottles of whiskey, and everybody gets a full glass of whiskey. You do not leave the churchyard until you have raised a glass to the man or the woman we have just gone. Whiskey has that power when you're so low. Whiskey, I'm talking about malt whiskey here in Ireland. A glass of malt whiskey, when you're standing in the rain and it's a gale force 10 and you've just said goodbye to one of your best friends, which happened to me recently, I don't think that I've got through that experience if it wasn't for a large glass of Octomore. So it really does work for you, you know. Yeah. Well, we need it. I don't know what you need, I mean, but it does. It's got this amazing power whiskey has to give you courage when you need it, and sympathy when you need it. So it's an old tradition here, and long may it continue. Yeah. I don't think it happens anywhere else, but in Islay, there's always whiskey beside the grave. And it gives you a chance to stop and talk to people, because a lot of people will come from the mainland for a funeral. They've come in one ferry, they're going to go out again in the next ferry, so that your time with them is very limited. So this is a great chance just to share a glass with them and wish them a safe journey home. It's fantastic. Whiskey has that power. It has that power because it's us. It's the blood of Scotland.
Well, on that note, Jim, shall we head into the second dram and have a little bit of a pause for thought for anybody in your life or whatever? Hey, why not? Well, it's the Bunnahabhain. It's 2003. It's from a sherry cask, Amontillado. Oh, right, so that's number 3. Sorry, there's my numbering all cocked up already. Well, the one I've got is 3, not number 2. Number 2. The bottle you gave me is but see, you had a non-peated, then you had a peated, yeah. Yeah, so it's the Bunna. You should have done the 2 non-peated before you went on to the peat. Yeah, you know, that's fine. It's my error, Jim. So it is number 3 on your bottle samples, not number 2. Yeah, because your number 3 is, my number 3 is Ardbeg. Yeah, yeah. So if you were taking Ardbeg after the Bruichladdich and then went on to Bunnahabhain, you wouldn't taste the Bunnahabhain because you just had the Ardbeg. So for God's sake, don't drink number 2. Bunnahabhain. You follow me? Yep. We're on number 3. Right. Bunnahabhain.
Right. What's this, guys?
No.
Go on, Gary.
Yes, Gary.
Amontillado, is that?
Amontillado, yeah. It's 2003. Is that
a peated or an unpeated?
Oh, well, Bunnahabhain is totally unpeated, yeah. Really super dry. They do a peated version, but they call it by another name. I'm not sure what it is, but Bunnahabhain is unpeated. And it comes from, it's a Amontillado cask. Now, everybody thinks sherry casks are all the same, but the grapes for the Amontillado, it's made inland about 100 miles away from Jerez, so it's nowhere near Jerez. It's miles inland, 100 miles between the Amontillado and the Jerez. The colour, I describe the colour as it's a stunning medium to dark amber. Remember the old trick with the finger? Turn it round. Remember what I showed you? Just use your finger. Look at the weight of it coming down. How long does it take it to run? Are they running as a group or are they running singular? I've got nothing running. I've got a necklace around the top and nothing is moving.
It's sticking like super glue to the glass.
That's what the sherry is doing to it. I've got 1 or 2 teardrops now.
Yeah.
You see that? The sherry is working its magic. That viscosity is great. Now, have a nose without the water and then taste it without the water. You remember the 6 steps? When you're nosing, what you're looking for is an off note. Is there anything wrong? There is nothing wrong with this. Yeah, I've got that. Cask number 1347, 2003, and the strength I think was 57.4.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to need water. I taste it first.
The nose on this, Jim, for me is even when I was decanting, was just phenomenal.
Well, once you add the water, it'll just ignite. Remember, guys, when you're adding the water down the side of the glass, I want you to split it. Bring the oil to the top. There you go. Tells me no chill filtration. I've got all that. I don't need it. I don't need the picture. I've got it. I've got the picture.
Yeah, no, I'm just making sure everybody can see exactly.
Oh, right.
Just so that they know that this is the one. So I got this when I was on Isla a couple of weeks ago. It's in the shop, so you're aware that you can actually. I think this is still available, but you do have to get it shipped to the distillery.
Absolutely stunning. I'll read out my tasting note to you, which I always do. This is what I found on a Bunnahabhain. It's okay, I don't need the oil for it.
Yeah, it's others asking for it. I don't know if that's enough for everybody. Has everybody got the details on that one?
Yeah, I think everybody's got it.
Go for it, Jim.
As I say, Amontillado is made 100 miles inland from Jerez. So Jerez, you've got all the roses and all the rest, and right beside the ocean. This is out in the desert, 100 miles, very, very hot, fast maturation. I said the colour was a stunning medium to dark amber. That's what I found in it. Fabulous, fabulous colour. I mean, this is just, it's like it's just pure gold. It's just, and Bunnahabhain is one of the great whiskies of the world. I mean, I could take Bunnahabhain in my porridge and my soup and my sausages. It's just great. I love Bunnahabhain. Giant stills, the biggest stills in Ireland, yeah. Probably one of the most gentle spirits you'll ever taste. Bunnahabhain is wicked. Here's what I found. I said the colour was a stunning medium amber. I said the body was full, mature, mellow, and magical. Absolutely magical. What did I get in the nose? I said, Bunnahabhain matured in a Amontillado cask is rare. I have never tasted this Bunnahabhain from such a great sherry cask as this. It's absolutely beautiful. This is a joy to behold. And at 17 years, I think I've got that right. 17 years, was it?
Yeah.
What age was it?
Yeah, I think it's a 17-year-old, yeah.
It's something between 15 and 20.
Sorry, it's 18. It's just under It's just under the 19 years.
There's something about whiskies between 15 and 21. They enter this period of just, it's like settling down. It's just in a magical period for single malt. And so I said the colour is a medium to dark amber. The body is full, mature, mellow, and magical. This is, if I was scoring this professionally as a judge, I would give this whiskey, certainly it's gold medal, I would give it 95 points. It's that good. It is that good. It's stunning. What did I find? This Bunnahabhain matured in a really rare Amontillado cask is a joy to behold. And at this stage, the whiskey is at its absolute prime. I am in heaven, absolute heaven. The flavours of the Amontillado sherry are of peaches, pears, kiwi fruit, grapes, vanilla, coconut, and that is just from the cask. It's an outstanding choice of cask for Bunnahabhain. I have complained about the quality of casks in previous drams, now meet the real deal. As a former cooper, blender, distiller, whiskey judge, there is no better cask for a Bunnahabhain than this. I'm scoring this 98 points. At least, it's going up all the time. It's just a magical spiritual experience. Between 15 and 21, whiskies from Bunnahabhain for me are perfect. This is a dram that I will remember for a long time. Where can I buy a bottle? The texture is unctuous and the finish is extended and lasts and lasts. I was still tasting it 1 hour after I put the glass down. As I said, I would score this 95 points. It's a gold medal whiskey. We are very, very privileged to have this, and I thank you for sending that sample. It's magical, absolutely magical.
Is the Jim, the Amontillado, is it a white sherry?
No, as far as I know, it's a red sherry. Yeah,
it's a red, is it? Aye,
yeah.
Aye.
Did you like it?
Yeah, it's delicious. Aye, aye. It's got a real sort of brings out the real nuttiness in Bunnahabhain as well, I think.
So, you enjoyed that one. Any questions?
I was going to just touch on as well was back to Joe's question is or sort of touching on that is how do we win over, or how do we try and change the perception of bringing more women into drinking whiskey? Is that a responsibility of the company's side, the advertising, the marketing? You know, is obviously it's always been directed towards the man's drink.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I think you've nailed it yourself. I think it needs a more subtle marketing rather than the macho Rob Roy McGregor and kilted warriors and haggises and all that bullshit. It's a sophisticated drink, and I'm sure when women get into it, and there is more coming in, I mean, it's fantastic. And why not? I mean, that Bunnahabhain is just like, wow. I mean, everybody would love that. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
I mean, that is a stunner.
I'm going to tell you, I've got 1 or 2 wee stories from my career. Would you like to hear a story as you're enjoying your dram?
Absolutely.
Yeah? You would like to hear Dave, Cameron, Gary, would you like to hear a wee story from the distilleries? Or do you want to just carry on tasting?
No. Story, please.
Story.
Yeah, story.
I've got
Story.
Strange enough, in the old days, there used to be customs officers at every distillery, and the boys who worked in the warehouse were not adverse to stealing a wee bit of whiskey. They weren't actually stealing it; they were just helping the angels. You understand? And one of the most popular means of getting whiskey from a barrel was, you might remember the old Heinz salad dressing bottles. Remember Heinz salad dressing? Heinz designed that bottle to fit through the bunghole of any barrel. Heinz designed it that way. And we are forever grateful to Heinz for designing a bottle that goes through any bunghole of any cask in the world. There was more salad cream sold in Ireland than anywhere else in the world. And an island that doesn't get lettuce and tomatoes very often. The sales of salad cream were absolutely amazing. And it's not the first time I've been moving a cask, and when you turn it over, you hear the clunk click as the bottle rotated, because the guy had let it slip out of his hand, you understand? So the next time you buy, you can't get salad cream in bottles now, it's all that plastic rubbish. But in the old days, the men of Ireland were eating more salad cream than the rest of Europe. It was amazing, you know. Salad cream. Could I have salad cream in my mince, Maggie? Aye, oh, aye. Could I have salad cream in my sausages? Sure, yeah, here you go. So salad cream was very, very popular. Talking about that, salad creams in bottles. The strangest thing I ever had to do as a cooper, there was one character at Bumore called Jackie. I can't repeat his surname because his wife will kill me. Jackie was a real character, and he had he used to use a bit of rubber tube. You take the bung out the barrel, put the rubber tube in, and then he would start sucking it out. You with me? Just say yes, Jim, occasionally, and then I'll know you're still alive. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's good. Give me some signal you're still there. And Jackie was a tearaway, and he had 3 false teeth at the front, right on the top. I think he found them somewhere. He never bought them. They kept falling out, you know. I think when his father died, he got his father's 3 teeth. And Jackie was in warehouse number 1, and I was coopering at the time. And Jackie was sucking out with a rubber tube, and he turned the barrel over. It was a bourbon barrel, and bourbon barrels inside a lot of charcoal. Yeah. So Jackie goes up. You've got to put your mouth up close to the bunghole. It's almost like kissing Sophia Loren, you know. So you're up there, and Jackie is sucking away, and a piece of charcoal comes up his tube, and he coughs, and the 3 teeth end up in the barrel. And he comes to the cooperage where I'm working, and he's got his hand over his mouth, and he's talking kind of funny, and he's covering his mouth, and he says, "Jim, can you help me, please?" I said, "What's the problem?" He says, "I've lost my teeth." I said, "Cooper, I'm not a dentist, man. Where's your teeth?" He says, "They're inside a barrel in warehouse number 2. I said, "Inside a barrel in warehouse number 2. I said, "How did that happen?" Oh, he says, "I was sucking it out, and a bit came up, and I coughed, and my teeth went into the barrel. Can you save me? If I go home with no teeth, the wife will kill me." I said, "Sorry, Jackie, I'm a highly trained cooper. I'm not a dentist, mate. Please, please, Jim, I'll do anything. I'll do anything." So I went to the warehouse, took the end out of the barrel, and there, it was like a remake of Jaws. There's Jackie's 3 teeth going round and round. And he went into the, "Thanks, pal, you saved my life."
I bet he was sucking his teeth all the way home, Jim.
Good.
I bet they're the best false teeth he ever had.
Okay, moving on.
Did the teeth impart?
Where did you get in exchange for that, Jim?
It was the funniest thing, you know, because the movie Jaws was out at that time, you know, and it was like, poor Jack. So anyway,
Jim, can I ask another question if you don't mind? So, doing the whole Brooklady thing, at the time I think Lockendale was still kicking around, although there are only about 60, 100 casks of that done. Port Charlotte and obviously the standard Brooklady range, and then someone yourself comes up with this mad idea of Octomore. No one had ever done anything like that before. It was a huge gamble.
Sorry, what was it? Come up with the what one?
The Octomore.
Octomore, yeah.
So what kind of made you come up with the idea of doing something that was, you know, 3 times peatier than the peatiest stuff that was pretty much going on at the time?
Yeah. I was quite lucky at Bruichladdich because Mark and Simon, they were wine guys and they could get the great wine cast. But Bruichladdich had suffered a lot of criticism by stupid people with no knowledge at all. And if I heard this once, I heard it 1,000 times, that Bruichladdich was not a true Isla because it wasn't peated. You know, so I was absolutely determined to shut these guys up, you know. I was just got in my tits, so to speak, and I thought, I'm going to do something that's going to change your opinion of Bruichladdich and give it the credibility it deserves. It's a distillery, you can understand. So I went up to the maltsters. The idea came to me on the road from Isla up to Glasgow. You went near Inveraray. There was a guy there who used to smoke kippers from Loch Fyne kippers. You may have heard of them, some of you older people. And I used to pop in there all the time and I'd give him a bottle of whiskey and he'd give me a dozen kippers. A good deal. And we'd sit and have a chat and I'm watching him smoking the kippers. There's no heat at all. No heat whatsoever. It's just the smoke. And once he's got enough smoke in there, he turns up the heat. So I went to the maltsters up at Inverness, Bears Maltsters, and I put this idea to them. I said, I would like to make the heaviest peated malt the world has ever known. And could you do that? And they said, well, it's going to cost a lot of money. I said, yeah, I know it is. It's going to be peating for 24 hours, 36 hours or whatever. And they were supplying us with the malt for Bruichladdich as well. So they were very brave and they said, yeah, we'll give it a go. So when the malted barley was transferred onto the kiln for drying, they just had the smoke, no heat whatsoever. So the smoke was penetrating right through the membrane, right into the starch, all the way in. And normally with peating, you peat for about 15 hours. With the Octomore, I said, let it go for 3 days. And I said, 3 days? Yeah, give it a try. We want to change things, you know. So they agreed to do it, and we actually got the peating level in one batch of Octomore up to over 300 parts per million. People said it couldn't be done, but we did it. So what you got to understand is, Bruichladdich, we didn't have a pot to piss in, you understand? There was no money. We had to be creative. We had to design and not live within the boundaries. We had to become creators and attract a new audience. A distillery can make more than one whiskey. At Bruichladdich, we were doing Bruichladdich, Port Charlotte, Octomore, I did the Botanist Gin, I did all that sort of stuff. So that changed the whole perception of the whiskey world because people said, oh, you can only make one whiskey. So that's how it came about. Baird's Maltings of Inverness did it, distilled it for the first time. I was absolutely crapping it because I don't know what it's going to be like. It's never been done. And it's coming through the spirit safe for the middle cut. And I'm thinking, wow, this could be your last middle cut, Jim. And I nosed and tasted it, and it was just because the slow distillation, the natural oil from the malted barley was there, the texture was great, and the flavour was just amazing. It was just, you know, having the courage to go and do it, you know, knowing full well if I screwed up, I was out of a job. But that's what life's all about. And now it stands out there loud and proud.
I'll always remember the very first time I ever had an Octomore. I was in the Port Charlotte Hotel.
Nice one.
We got chatting to a few people, in fact, a German couple, and they said, have you tried Octomore? This is about 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that. And I tried it because I like my peated whiskey, and it blew the top of my head off. But ever since, I've loved it. So I really appreciate you giving that a go.
That poor woman that's sitting beside you, she's shaking her head saying no.
Caroline, my wife, was with me at the time, Jim.
Because we've had to convert a bedroom now to house the Octomore, that's all.
Oh, brilliant, man. Brilliant. You're my hero. Well, that was the story of it anyway. Just I was watching a man doing the kippers on Loch Fyne. That's where I got the plan from. Isn't that amazing? And I also bought some peppers as well, just the slow smoke. And you say, oh, Jim, you just no heat, and just the smoke, just the smoke. So I took that idea, gave it to maltsters, and they said, well, it cost you a fortune. And I said, I don't care, we just want to do it. So there you go.
Thank you.
Have you paired many Octomores with kippers, Jim?
Sorry?
Have you paired many Octomores with kippers?
I've never done that. I'm going to try it now, just because
it would work. I've done our bag with Arbroath Smokies. Was very good.
Wow.
So yeah, it would work.
Can you imagine getting absolutely drunk at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning eating kippers? I think I would be divorced. I would be divorced very quickly, but I'll think about it. You know? Anyway, so
porridge with Octomore is really stunning as well. Just say.
Have you tried it?
So you might just have to have the kippers for your tea one night.
No, that's good. Kippers for tea. I like the sound of that.
So we know what to do for the next virtual tasting with Nawaz is actually organise an Octomore range of pairings with various foodstuffs.
Oh, brilliant. Anyway, on to Ardbeg drum.
Right.
Thank you for making the X4. Thank you for making the X4. It's a brilliant variant to the Octomore range.
Did you like it?
Very much. Very much.
Behind that, I read that the first people to do a quadruple distillation were, again, the Egyptians. They did a quadruple. And they said that if you took 1 spoonful of this quadruple distill, you would live forever. So that's why it was did. That's why it was made. 2 spoonfuls, you go blind instantly, and 3 spoonfuls, you drop dead, your heart stops. Well, I've drank about 100 bottles, and I'm still sitting here. So that was a load of bullshit.
Maybe the Egyptians had much bigger spoons.
Oh, brilliant. I love that. That was classic. Anyway.
Right. So number 2, by the way, is sample 2 is the Ardmore, Ardbeg drum.
Sample 3. You said sample 2, it's sample 3.
Yeah, sorry.
Carl got them wrong.
On the bottles, on the bottle, bottle number, sorry, Jim, for the confusion.
Okay.
I swear you're doing this deliberately, Carl, now.
I am, yes, just to make sure you're all still awake.
Carl, could you give us the full details of this bottle?
I can give you the details. You want the details?
Yes, please.
Drinking too much. Okay. It's a cast type. It's a refill bourbon barrel, and it's been finished in rum. Okay. And there's no age statement on it, which means it's probably about, there's no age statement on that. No. It's probably about 8 years old, I would think. It would be about that. However, it's been reduced down to 46% alcohol. And it's a fabulous, fabulous dram. So yeah, refilled bourbon, then into our rum cask to finish. I describe the colour. It's like a January sunrise on Isla. It's a watery sun. I said the body is medium. It's not full body by any stretch. There's no age statement on it. It's young. It's probably 7 years old. So the body is light to medium. And I say the colours are January sunrise. I'm just going to do the old trick, run it round to see what the teardrops are like, see what the viscosity is like. Just running it round. See how fast they're falling. They're falling fairly quickly.
Yeah.
And they're all coming in a bunch. You see that?
Yeah.
Like the whiskies you had before, they were single. They're coming down like a cavalry stampede. Tells me the whiskey is young. Quite simple. Ardbeg, I'm a big fan of Ardbeg. I really do like it. And I'll tell you what I got. have a wee nose and a wee sniff at it. Ardbeg with a bourbon rum finish. Let's see if we can pick up any influence of the rum, or is it just a whisper? Are we getting any rum flavours in there?
There's definitely banana in there straight off the bat.
That's lovely. I tell you, it's not too peaty. Now, whether the rum influences anything to do, the peat's not Now the rum there's a high influence of rum in this. You really get it.
I get a nice dark sort of brown sugar note in the background there.
Aye, that's a good descriptive, yeah. Yeah, the rum it must have been finished for quite a while. What you'll never know is how long the finish was. The distiller will never tell you, was it in a rum cask for 6 months or 6 years? You never find that out. This has been the rum cask for quite a while. I would think this has been the rum cask for maybe a year or more. Anyway, what did I find? I said, it opens on an intriguing rise of dry peat, smoke. All right, we'll start again. I can just see, I need my glasses. But anyway, opens on an intriguing rise of dry peat smoke and the charred oak tannins from the bourbon cask. That comes together, followed by a medicinal saline overture. This is Ardbeg at its best, with a drift of dry seaweed and crushed seashells. It's very much in the TCB medicinal seashells. It's got all that stuff in there. And I said, it takes me about 30 minutes to do a taste note. You're expected to do it in 30 seconds, so don't worry about it. Given a little time and a splash of water, you'll get honey and lemon with just a hint of spiciness from the rum. Honey and lemon with just a hint of spiciness from the rum. After 10 or 15 minutes, it changes subtly. And now we're getting some floral notes of sea pinks, heather and bloom, primrose, and mugwort. These are all flowers and plants we get on Islay and the Hebridean moors. It's got this Hebridean overture. At this point, the rum is very much a bystander. However, it may evolve on the palate a little later. It's young. It's just mature, especially matured in refilled casks, so it's trying hard to please. It's young, it's in a refilled cask, it's really working hard to please. And it's the quality of the distillate that goes to the rescue of this spirit. It's beautifully distilled, and this is evident on the palate. Sweet toasted malt, digestive biscuits, warm scones, a little hint of lemon in there, like lemon curd, with just a kick of the rum essence coming throughout. It's a pleasant enough dram, especially enough dram. Had it been in better bourbon casks, it would have shone more. So it could have done with being in better casks at the distillery. And it could have spent longer in the rum cask. To add that, it's unique, it's spicy, it's smoky. The raisin and sultana flavours do come through. It's a very pleasant early evening dram. I would drink this early in the evening. It's a good dram. It is not an absolute blockbuster, but it's a decent dram. If I was scoring that, I would probably give it mid-70s. It's young.
Jim, do you favour a particular kind of glass to nose from?
Yeah,
like
I just use this glass here is the one I always use.
Right.
The reason I use this glass is because I don't want my fingerprints on the glass. Comprende?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I use the stem. There's nothing worse than fingerprints on a glass when you're trying to look at the quality of the whiskey. And I also, when I go like this, I use the stem to turn the whiskey around in the glass. You see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I hold it up. So I am not tarnishing the glass in any way with my greasy finger. So always use a glass with a stem. Always.
Do you find that it's because it's got like a narrower top to that glass that you get more on the nose?
Yeah, it's just like a pot still.
Yeah.
It's the shape of a pot still. So that's the glass. All the professionals use that glass. If you go to a competition, that's the glass you will use.
Okay.
That's simple sherry copita. You don't have to spend a fortune on a big expensive glass. It's just not necessary. These glasses are great and they're not expensive either. So But the glassware is important. The one glass I hate more than anything else is crystal tumblers. They should be banned. They should be used for keeping false teeth in. They're a total waste of bloody space.
Thank you for saying that. That's very important.
I hope you're not selling crystal glasses. They are just so clumsy, you know. It's just fun. Anyway, what's your thoughts on the art bag?
Jim, to go back to a thought you raised earlier with the Bruichladdich being enhanced in the cask. This one is definitely a finish rather than an enhancement, or
it's a rum finish.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And finish and enhancement is the same word. It just depends who's writing the tasting notes. I would not use enhancement, because enhancement means to make it better.
Yeah.
You know, it's a finish. Does it make it better? That's up for you to decide, you know. But it's a play on words. But Ardbeg is, I'm a great fan of Ardbeg. It's good to see it back in Dunmonji. My first ever white whiskey at 5 o'clock. We were loading, Bowmore didn't have a harbour, and one of my jobs was the whiskey was taken from Bowmore and it was going to the different harbours around the island to be loaded onto puffers. You all know what a puffer is?
More steam, McPhail, more steam.
Right, Doogie, you've got it, Doogie. You all know what a puffer is. It's a small coastal shaped sailing vessel that was fired by coal, and you can see the smoke from miles at sea, you know. These ships would take in the barley and take out whiskey. And one of my jobs was when the Bowmore casks were being loaded onto these ships, small ships, I was on standby, because the guys on the ships would drop the barrels and the ends of the barrels would move, and then the whiskey would come out. And then they would fill their kettles, they would fill their jugs, they would fill anything they could fill. You've all heard of puffers and parahandy and all that sort of stuff. So there always had to be a cooper on standby to be sure the casks were not leaking going onto a ship that was going to Glasgow in 2 days, because there'd be nothing left in the barrel. And I must have been about 18 just. I think I was just 17. So at 5 o'clock, and every distillery in Scotland, the distillery manager or his assistant would give all the crew in the distillery a dram of white whiskey, 68.5, absolute rocket fuel. That was tradition throughout all the distilleries. And at 5 o'clock in this particular, we're loading this puffer with whiskey, and I was like 17, I think. And so I'll go up and try this. I couldn't do it more because the manager knew what age I was. I was only 17. So I'm going to chance it at Ardbeg. So I went up to Ardbeg and I stood in the queue behind another squad of guys. And I stepped forward, and the guy, the brewer at Ardbeg, was from Bowmore. Jim McEwan, what are you doing at this line? I said, I'm just up for my dram. He said, what age are you? Oh, I said, we're 18, which was a lie, but he knew that. Anyway, he's from Bowmore. So what did he do? The habit then was the brewer would give you a large glass of white whiskey, 68.5, and beside that, a tap would be running with water. So you would drink your whiskey, 68.5, glass under the water, and chase it with water. Do you follow me? You got the picture?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the miserable son of a bitch, he was going to teach me a lesson, right? So he gives me the glass of 68.5. I've never tasted this in my life. I'm just barely 18 years old. What does he do? And there's a queue of men behind me. He turns off the tap and keeps his hand on top of it. So I can't get a drink of water. So I have to scoop it back. And it was as though somebody had cracked me in the jaw. There was stars flying. I staggered out of his office. He says, well, Jim, it's been nice talking to you. And I thought, bastard, absolute bastard. That was my introduction to Ardbeg, but fantastic dram. Now, where are we now?
What's your take? They're a distillery that does a lot of no age statement, a lot of named whiskies. What's your take on that?
And what is it? You said it's a distillery that's got a lot of.
No age statement expressions. It likes its names. It doesn't give an age statement to it. What's your take on the kind of no age state? I don't think age is a measure of anything but rarity, but it's typically used, in my humble opinion, to hide or to be able to get things to market quickly. And I think Ardbeg should really be past that now.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. You're 100% correct. It's an opportunity to get your brand to market sooner, years before. And that's a lot of money. If you put it out there with no age statement, it's probably 6 or 7 years old, if it's even that. So that's bringing money into the company. As you've got plenty of stocks now. They've obviously got a planned program for the 10-year-old and 15-year-old that's producing more and more and more. And unaged whiskey, some of it's very, very good because you're getting more. You get a clearer picture of the art of distillation because it's not got so much overture from the oak. You understand? So you can actually experience the quality of the distillate. Now, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it depends on the particular company, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I like Ardbeg. There's not much I don't like.
Jim, I just wanted to ask as well quickly, was going back to your last story there, you know, and you were mentioning about your drams of the white whiskey, and I was chatting with Ian McAllister from Glen Scotia earlier in the week, and we were talking about, well, we had a white spirit there as well, but I mentioned the word cleric, and he burst out laughing, and he said, I've not heard that word cleric for years, and so it seems to be a very sort of a local. Everybody has their own sort of terminology for the white spirit. So in Iowa, is it just called the white spirit, or do they have a nickname for it? Or
nobody actually talks about it now. This is called new spirit. The cleric, that was the Gaelic for the clear stuff.
Yeah.
So the white whiskey was called cleric. That was the Gaelic word for white spirit, you know. But there's no drams now. But it's a word that you very seldom hear nowadays. Very, very seldom.
I grew up near the...
I haven't heard that word for ages, cleric. It used to be quite common.
I grew up near Bladnoch and they always used to call it Jew.
I've never heard that one. Jew, you know. Yeah, white whiskey, I tell you. So, yeah, that was my experience at Ardbeg. My first cleric, and it was my last. I've been out that door, man.
That was what we were drinking on Thursday. I don't know if you can see that. As
Glen Scotia New Make, aye?
It was
63%.
73.
73?
Aye.
No, that's not 73. That must be 63.
Well, it's put 73 on the bottle. Was that come off the still on the 15th of this month?
73. I mean, that's when you're taking the foreshot off. You know, you talk about the heads, the tails in the middle. That's the edge. What was it like?
Incredibly sweet.
Well, paintbrush is clean, Gary.
Sorry?
Are your paintbrushes clean?
my inside of my throat's, my gullet's clean.
Anyway, moving on to Lagavulin.
So Lagavulin is, you'll be pleased to know, sample number 4.
Okay, so Lagavulin. It was for the 2017 Jazz Festival. I'm not sure what age it is, but looking at the strength, it's quite young. It's 57.6.
It's a non-age statement. It's non-age statement, Jim.
What's 17?
No, it's not. It's non-age statement.
I know, but it tells you on there it's bottled in 2017.
Yeah. So we don't know how old it was when it's gone into the bottle.
When I'm looking at the strength, I would think it's, if you take it, here's a rough way to guide, okay? Let's say it was into cask at 63.5, okay? All you guys are listening to this, you work this out in your calculator. I'm just trying to work it out.
Yeah.
And the strength you said is 57.6. I assume and went into the cask at 63.5, right? And here we are, it's now 6% less. Yes? In alcohol, you're still with me?
Yep.
You will lose about 0.5, 0.6 alcoholic strength each year. So I'm saying this is 10-year-old. Do you follow me?
Yep.
Yep.
That's what you're losing 2% the Angel share, but of pure alcohol, you lose about 0.5. That's why you get 40-year-old whiskey that's still above 40%.
That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Of course it is. But that's how I would judge it. If there's no way statement, I'll look at the strength. So.
And you can see it's not a particularly oily or viscous. You know, I'd say this was, again, it's probably heading towards medium body. Would you say, Jim?
I've got the wrong glass here, but I got one of these glasses in a present. It's bloody horrible.
That's for putting flowers in.
I tell you, the body's good. I mean, I've got one or two legs moving, but generally they're all holding back.
Actually,
Which you expect from Lagavulin. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's just clinging to the glass. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, actually, I've swung it round again, and it actually is sticking to the glass a lot more. So whether it's just my dodgy glass.
It's got a really good body. The viscosity is good. I think it's quite young, 57.6. I would say it's about 10 years old, roughly speaking. Anyway, have a look at taste and the wee nose on it.
You know the glass that you're drinking out of there, Jim?
Aye.
I tried one of those glasses at I think it was Glasgow Whiskey Festival.
Yes.
And I don't know, I might be wrong. You can correct me, I'll let you, because you're the expert. But I think those glasses were made to stop you, they were for people, to introduce people to whiskey, so that you didn't get that massive whoosh of alcohol going up your nose. So it let the alcohol disappear. That's the way it was sold to me anyway. I thought they were rubbish glasses too. Is that those glasses?
I just don't like them at all. I think there's a bit of very subtle marketing. Yeah. It looks like a Scottish thistle. You get it?
Yeah, that's one of those glasses.
It just, you know, it's. I just don't like the glass. I prefer just a Sherry Copita style glass. Simple to break, it doesn't cost you a fortune. I can see the legs running, I can turn it round. It's fine, it's grand. I've been given so many glasses away, and this is I only got this 2 left of this kind. But anyway, it's Lagavulin, and it's 57.6 high strength. I'm definitely recommending some water. I've got a tasting note there on it. Right, what did I find? It takes me about 45 minutes to an hour to do a tasting note. Just go back and forward. I don't sit there doing all it. The colour is pale. I describe it as lily. It's a bourbon refill cask. It tastes fine. And the aromas and flavours, I said, the colour clearly shows it's not had much help from the cask, indicating it's a refill cask. You get it? It's very pale. Clearly telling me, if you add water to it, it's almost translucent. It's telling me it's a refill cask. It's a refill bourbon cask. Maybe filled 2 or 3 times. I said 2 or 3 times. However, let's hope that the power of the spirit can carry the lack of oak. Sometimes it works in its favour. The oak is not there and it allows the spirit to come through. I go on. I say it nose is fine. I get the smoke, but it requires a dash of water to release it. Just add the water to it and the smoke will rise. Smoke on the water. It's brilliant. It's completely different to it's completely different to Lafroig. This is more headed fires, combining with the bourbon charring. Lafroig is iodine, Ralgex, TCP and all that, and this one's a mile up the road and it's quite different. It's more like headed fires combining with the bourbon charring, and there's a little hint of iodine. It's a very interesting spirit. I said the fruitiness is fresh. I'm getting melon, soft pear, apricot, great notes there. Means the stillman's done his job. He's taken the middle cut. He's allowed it all to come through and not be dominated by the smoke. And it works really, really well with the phenol. And it's a pleasant combination. The spirit is excellent, but it needs more oak influence to give it a stage in which it can perform. I'm disappointed in the refill cask. It should be doing much better than that. A great spirit like that deserves a good cask. I mean, it's like asking Torval and Dean to skate with football boots on. It needs more oak. I am saddened that it looks like a spirit that requires a first fill cask to mature in. It tastes fine, but the oak is absent, and without it, the spirit loses a lot of its character. Lagavulin is a giant, and the casks are, the cask that this was maturing is not good enough for a spirit of this stature. I'm not too happy with it. I was expecting more. It's quite simple. If the mother has no milk, then the child dies. This spirit could have done so much better. It's dying a little bit because the mother didn't have the milk. That sounds kind of dramatic, but that's what it's all about the cask. And for a cost, this cost, it only costs £90 to buy a barrel. A first fill bourbon barrel costs £90, and it's going to do you for 3 fills, which is going to £30 a year. For God's sake, put the whiskey into good casks. Don't be holding back in the cask. The cask is the mother, and the whiskey is the child. I've enjoyed it. Just lacking a bit of oak, but there is no doubting the quality of the spirit.
I think, Jim, for me, you've hit the nail on the head in terms of, for me, it was an obvious Lagavulin. It was lovely. It was a very nice dram. And I would have, before I'd heard what you've just said, I would have been looking at this and going, actually, that's really nice. I'm really enjoying that. Actually, I think, listening to you there, I've understood something that I've perhaps missed in the past, where you're right. I think if this is a 10-year-old, based on your mathematics and things, and that's kind of the best thing that we can go with at the moment. For a 10-year-old Lagavulin, they could have done so much more with it, couldn't they? And I wouldn't have spotted that. I don't know if anybody else would like to comment, but I think that's been useful for me to understand where you're coming from with that.
But also, you've got to remember, it started its life at Lagavulin. Somebody put the whiskey into that cask. Why are you putting a quality spirit, one of the top whiskies in the world, into a cask that's almost run its last race? That is sacrilege. That is not good enough.
Probably because the bean counters at Diageo told them to.
I was going to say, it sounds like cutting corners to me and trying to save a wee bit of cash by using these old tired casks and saying bugger it, fire some more spirit in them anyway. We'll stick it as a limited edition and punt it out for £100.
Exactly. I mean,
such a shame, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it's. I was almost in tears. I thought, Lagavulin, you are one of the princes. You are there. You're handsome. You've got a reputation. You've got the biggest company in the world behind you. What in the name of have you gone and put this into this cask? Why have you used a substandard cask? Where is your pride? Because at the end of the day, it carries a Lagavulin banner. It tells a story about Lagavulin. It doesn't tell the story about the cask, which is quite sad.
So, Jim, would you mind because I believe if he's still here, oh yes, Bruce is here. Bruce, would you mind unmuting yourself? I'm going to drag you in, whether you like it or not. Bruce Farquhar from Dramfool. Bruce, are you there? Or are you just pretending to be there? You might be pretending to be there. I was going to...
I am here.
Hiya, Bruce. How are you?
Bruce.
I was muted. I was half asleep there. I got.
Well, thanks for that, Bruce. Thanks for that, Bruce. That was good. Half asleep. Yeah. I can't wait to go to one of your presentations.
Hiya, Bruce. Anyway, Bruce, I dragged you in while you were half asleep. to ask you, you know, from your perspective as an independent, independent maturer of whiskey, an independent bottler, you know, from Dramfool, for anybody who's not familiar with Bruce, and you should be, but you know, I'm just saying, but would you have loved, what would you have done with this spirit? You know, say even if you'd been handed this 10-year-old that's come from a kind of battered old third fill bourbon barrel, what would you have done with this to take it further? I'm just curious what your opinion was on it.
I would have sold it. I'm not talking about bottles, I'm talking about the cask. I would have got rid of it.
Yeah.
Get rid of it and buy another one.
That's the option. That's the easy option. Bung it in an auction or sell it back to the broker. If I had time on my hands, yeah, I might have. I do have a source of some very good fresh Oloroso casks. You get them direct from the Speyside cooperage. They're very good quality, and within sort of 8 months, you basically have quite a major effect on that whiskey. But I think because it was to be honest, I mean, I was maybe a wee bit bold there saying I would sell it, but I'm offered so few Lagavulins. I've only actually been offered one, so I would try and make it work. So yeah, my answer would be I'd try and get it into an active Oloroso sherry cask, one with no sulphur or rubber. And as I say, the Speyside cooperage, they're producing those good quality casks. So that's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, Bruce, the first thing I was surprised about when you said you would just sell it, I thought, oh, I would have thought anybody would have loved to have got their hands on a Lagavulin, even if it was not particularly great spirit initially.
It's one of the great whiskies of the world. I mean, really and truly, Lagavulin is just, it's stellar. And it's just a pity that you've taken this fantastic spirit and all that experience of years and years of making whiskey, and you put it into a cask like that. The cask, it's not the cask's fault, the cask has been used too often. So the person who was responsible for buying the cask and putting it in there should be sacked, fired. Anyway.
May I just make one comparison though? So the Ardbeg drum we tried just before this used to retail at £98 a bottle when that was their special of the year a couple of years ago. This retails for virtually the same amount of money. It's cask strength. So I only draw, both are obviously no age statements. This is probably a little bit older.
Yeah.
So all I would say is, whilst I absolutely agree with what you're saying, as in, all you're getting the distillate, really. You're not getting anything from the cask at all. You can tell that in the colour. As soon as you look at it, it almost looks like a white spirit. But when you compare the two, in my humble opinion, sometimes if you want to do a comparison between, you've got to look at what you're buying at the same time. It's not stupidly expensive in comparison to something another mile up the road that's no age statement, 40%, has been chilled filtered for the same money.
Yeah. Well, I don't know much about the pricing of it, but I just felt it deserved a better fate, you know. I really did. Anyway, we could talk about it all night. One whiskey to go, is that right?
Could I
there is, yes.
Ask?
Oh, sorry, go on, Henry.
Yeah, so just from what you've all been talking about in terms of refill casks, I understand as perhaps a single cask, it might not be the best option to use it, but in terms of, as Bruce may have alluded to, further maturing, or even I was thinking, what do you take it as, using it in a blend or just blending several casks to try to get something out of it?
No, Henry, you're going down the wrong road. What you're trying to do is you're trying to patch up. It should never have gone into that cask in the first place, right? It's not a high quality cask. And to put it into a wine cask, you're killing. You buy Lagavulin for one thing. You don't buy Lagavulin to taste wine. You buy Lagavulin to taste Islay. That's what you're buying Lagavulin for, not to taste wine. It's just an unfortunate. There's a lot of casks out there. I mean, Christ, you can look at a cask. A cask is almost like a human being. And I can look at a cask and tell you what it's going to be like inside just because of 57 bloody years of looking at casks. I can recognize a good cask from a bad cask, like I can recognize a good dram. And in this case, There's absolutely nothing wrong with a distillate. I'm just disappointed that a distillate of that quality, you're talking about one of the top whiskies in the world, to put it into a cask that is well past its sell-by date is criminal, it's sacrilege, or it's a lack of knowledge, or for whatever reason. I was just disappointed in it.
Jim, sorry to ask this. I've had some bad internet connection, so I might have missed it. How did you know that it's a third aged cask that's been reused? Is it on the bottle, or can you just tell from the taste?
It's just, you get to know, I mean, it's just like learning to drive or any skill you have. The more you do it, the better you become. So I've been nosing at whiskey for over 50 years, so I can look at and I can generally tell you whether it's good, bad, or indifferent before you even taste it. You're looking for the influence of the oak. I repeat, the spirit is the child and the cask is the mother. If the mother, there's no milk, the child dies. It's that bloody simple, you understand? You're looking for that natural colour, and when it's not there, it's disappointing. This is one of the greatest distilleries in the world. The spirit is fabulous. It just got no support from the oak at all.
So it's a question of finding the right Lagavulin to be worth buying then.
No, but the fact of the matter is that could have been maybe destined for a blend, and it was traded to another distiller who sold it on. You don't know that.
Right.
Because Diageo don't do anything bad. Diageo are, when it comes to quality, they are right up there. There's so many independent brokers out there and all that sort of stuff. And you would not put Lagavulin into a blend. I mean, that would be like, hello, you should be drinking vodka, man, I'm telling you. Anyway, we could talk about this all night.
Yeah, I just want to jump in because what I'd like to do is where it's great to have Billy Sinclair has joined us from Bunnahabhain. Hi, Billy.
Hi, Billy.
Hi, Jim. Hi, Carl. How you doing?
Well, Billy just dropped me a quick message because he wasn't able to kind of witness while we tried the Bunnahabhain that he'd shared with us. And I guess I wanted to just ask if everybody would like to put a thumbs down for those that didn't like the Bunnahabhain. Can you just...
Cheers, Carol.
No, just bear with me on this, Billy. Just have faith, have faith. There's 0 thumbs down. So who absolutely friggin' loved the Bunnahabhain?
Right, mate, I'm holding up my tasting note, right, on the Bunnahabhain. Are you listening, Billy?
Yes, I am, Jim.
Right, this is what I found in your whiskey. I said this, I'll repeat it. This is one that was matured in a rare Montellado cask. The fantastic fruit notes coming through. And here I go. I am in heaven, absolute heaven. As flavours of the Montellado sherry are of peaches, pears, kiwi fruit, grapes, vanilla, coconut. That's Bunnahabhain. It's outstanding, absolutely outstanding choice of cask for Bunnahabhain. I have complained about the quality of casks in previous drams. Now meet the real deal. As a former cooper, blender, distiller, international playboy, there is no better cask for me than a Bunna than this. No smoke screen, no ID, just a magical spirit experience. Between 15 and 21 whiskies for me is perfect, and this is a dram I will remember for a long time. Where can I buy a bottle? The texture is unctuous, the finish is extended, and I would score this as a gold medal spirit.
The check's in the mail, Jim. Thank you for that.
So I would just like to ask, would everybody like to unmute themselves for a moment and just give Billy a round of applause?
Good whiskey. Fantastic.
Well, all due
Okay,
respect,
last
guys,
whiskey of the
I
day.
only picked the bottle to send to you. That's not. That's all out of my hands. I just love the stuff myself. That's why I picked it.
Yeah. No, well, it's a star. Thank you, Billy.
Okay, we're now going on to Lafroig.
Yes, we've now got the last bottle, which is Sample number 5 on your bottles, and it's the Lafroig 12. I'll flash this up while Jim gives his story around it.
Right, yeah. Okay, I'll just give you my tasting note on it, and then you can come in. I'm a huge Lafroig fan, as I am a Lagavulin. I just think Lafroig. I think I told you that. I didn't tell you the story. I was on tour. It's okay, I've got that.
Yeah.
And I was in the States, and I was in my last gig in the States doing tastings. I was teaching our importer, teaching their staff. You go from city to city and you train the staff of your importer, and you train staff in stores and all that. And I was absolutely exhausted, physically, mentally, spiritually drained. And I ended up in Miami for the last session. And it was one of these nights in Miami where there was huge thunder and lightning storms coming across the ocean. And I got to my hotel, and I had an apartment, a suite in the top floor. I was maybe about 20 stories up. And the thing I needed more than oxygen was a dram. I needed a dram. I was on my knees. It was that desperate. And so I went up to the bar, and there it was, the famous green bottle. Leapfrog was there. The Lafroig was there. So I said to the bartender, could you give me a large Lafroig? And he said, you want ice? I said, no. No, you have the ice, I'll have the Lafroig. So I got a large glass. I think it was 3 shots in the glass. I was not working the next day, it was a Saturday. And so I went up to my room, and I stripped off, and I'm sitting outside on my balcony. The ocean is right beside me, and I was given a cigar somewhere on the tour. Somebody gave me a cigar. So I'm sitting there with my wife fronts. I've got a belter of Lafroig. It was a 10-year-old, and I'm sitting there, and I'm having a sip, and I'm smoking a cigar. And that was probably one of the greatest moments of my life. Everything was perfect. And then on the horizon comes this tropical storm. If you've been in Miami, you will know they come in fairly quickly. So I'm sitting outside on my deck chair on the veranda at the top floor with a large Lafroig and a cigar. It's magical. And then the storm comes in, and the rain is torrential. And I just kept sitting, and I kept sipping. The cigar went out, and I went out. Talk about singing in the rain. I was drinking in the rain. I refused to move in for the storm. I'm just sitting there. On that occasion, Lafroig saved my life. It had the power to save my life. It was just one of these great, great drams. I'll never forget it. I'm sitting there. I refused.
Sounds like a wonderful time, Jim. Then.
Sorry?
Sounds like a wonderful time in Miami.
Yeah, I was just sitting there with a cigar and then the storm, and I'm saying, oh, I'm going to sit through this. This is Lafroig will beat the storm, and it did. You know what I mean? It was just
See, this is you're speaking about my life every day. I live half an hour away from Miami. I'm in Florida, so I see the storms all the time, and I'm drinking my drams with a cigar and enjoying the weather.
Oh, that is so cool! It's a great feeling, isn't it? Lafroig,
it is.
Lafroig with a cigar in the rain, just sit there in your underpants, you know. I mean, it's so cool. Okay, Lafroig.
You can't sit in Bowmore in your underpants out in the veranda, Jim.
Excuse me, I live in Bruichladdich. You can do it in Bruichladdich.
You might be all right.
Jim, I'm interested as a fellow cigar smoker that you smoke a cigar while you're drinking whiskey. I'd always assumed that the experts would have said you can't do that because it'll spoil the taste of the whiskey. It's reassuring to know an expert like you supports the heathens in us doing both at the same time for hedonism.
Well, I don't really give a shit what anyone says. If I'm on a cigar, I'm not bound by the rules of how to drink whiskey and how to smoke a cigar. It's just something about the combination, especially something a heavy peated one, but even a non-peated one. I like a cigar. I smoke a cigar every day. Every day I have a cigar and I have a dram.
Very good, Jim.
And I'm now 94 years old.
Obviously, Jim, Lefroy saved your life that night.
That's right.
Lefroy has saved my husband's life many a time. If I had been able to pull one, I'd have killed him. Lefroy is responsible for saving a lot of people's lives.
Well,
That's why we renamed it to Love Freud.
Yeah.
Yeah, but only quarter cask. Quarter cask is the lifesaver.
Yeah, it's a great dram. It saved my life in Miami, anyway. So here we are, Lafroig Old Malt Cask. It is 46%. It's a refill bourbon cask. The colour is bright. It's a lustrous honey. Beautiful gold colour. I love it. I'm looking at the texture. I've got the wrong glass, but it's got good legs on it. If I just run it round and try and look at it. Lafroig is the most unique Islay. And the reason is quite simple. It's going to change a little bit in the future, just you be careful. But if you look at most of the distilleries in Islay, they take the malt from Port Ellen maltings. Yes? Okay. Port Ellen maltings extract their peat high up above Islay International Airport. Have you ever flown into Islay International?
Yes.
Yeah, well, up the top road. Up above that is where Diageo, the maltings, dig their peat. It must be about, I don't know, half a mile higher than where Lafroig dig the peat. Lafroig dig the peat beside the airport. And beside the airport is the big Strand, the biggest beach in Islay. And the peat that's in that area there, because it's so low down, is absolutely full of seaweed. Over millennium of seaweed is there. I used to work as a kid after school at Lafroig Peats. We were hired by a contractor to stack the peats up to dry. And we got paid by a perch. A perch is a very old measurement, 6.5 yards by 6.5 yards by 6.5 yards. So myself and my mates, we would go there and stack the peats up so the wind would dry them to get money to go and follow Scotland against England. Which we never bloody won, but anyway, that's another story. And I remember vividly working in the Lafroig peat bogs, the amount of oil that was on the surface. Peat bogs are full of water, you got it? The oil that was floating on top of that water, it was incredible. The colours, it was like it was like an oil ship that had gone down. And not so much grass, it was more seaweed, you understand? And that is what makes the key difference between a Lafroig and a Beg, a Lafroig and Bowmore, is that iodine, crustacean, shells, sand, seaweed for millennium. And makes, nobody will ever match the taste of Lafroig because they take their peats from that area. And it comes through in this one, this Lafroig, I'll give you a taste note on it. Lafroig Old Malt Cask, 12-year-old. I said the colour is bright, it's lustrous, it's in great colour, a lovely golden honey. It's 46%. It's a refill bourbon. I said the body is super smooth. The texture is absolutely beautiful. On the aromas and flavours, I said the most immediately identifiable nose in the realm of Scotch single malt whisky. I repeat, the most immediately identifiable nose in the realm of Scotch single malt whisky. While this nose advertises Lafroig, it shows a marked degree of positive evolution from the 10-year-old. That 2 years has made a difference. It's now becoming a little bit more graceful, offering a mature, well-knit balance of smoke, toasted oak, sugars, malt extract, and all encapsulated in a halo of maritime overtures. Robert Burns couldn't write this shit. I get the TCP. I get the TCP.
Whiskey and freedom gang together.
I get the iodine. I get the Ralgex. It's very much evident, as is the heather bloom and the flowers of the peat moss, which is absolutely sensational. Lafroig peat bogs lie next to Islay's longest beach. and that sea influence is there. It's absolutely sensational. I love it. It's a mixture of nature and the art of distillation. It all comes together in this glass. It's a beautiful, beautiful spirit. Lafroig from bourbon cask is a match made in heaven. The spiciness from the bourbon cask, plus you've got the iodine and all that sort of stuff. It's unique. It's a unique flavour, and it's not dominated by the maritime influence. It's in balance, and the result is unique. The sweetness of the malt extract is not dominated by medicinal overtures. It frames it beautifully. I think this is an absolutely beautiful, beautiful dram. I love it. I'm sorry for such a short tasting note, but there you go.
I thought that was poetry.
Well, cheers, everybody. It's been really nice talking to you.
Pleasure.
Cheers, Jim.
Cheers.
If you ever come across this, Ira,
Cheers,
come and
Jim.
see me.
Cheers, Jim.
Give me a
certainly will.
Cheers, Jim. Definitely. Thank you.
Get say that now.
Thank you very much, sir.
Just go ahead. I'll be happy to welcome you in and give you a dram.
Mr. McEwan, can I ask one question? I've had a bottle of Blacker Still now for about 12 years, and I've never opened it. And I know I should do, but I just wonder if you remember it.
Yeah, very well. Yeah. It came from number 1 vaults. Isn't that right?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, I managed to get it from the lads in Newcastle at the time. But
yeah, it's an absolutely sensational dram. I mean, the viscosity is quite incredible. I mean, you've got to be careful with what I was saying, because sherry casks, sherry matured whiskey does not like water. You understand? It just doesn't work. It's like watching a child with a paint set, and the child has got too much water on the brush, so you don't get the true colour. Is that easy to explain?
It is. It is.
Yeah. So when you're dealing with these sherry casks, particularly the one you're talking about, which is awesome. Sorry?
Sorry, I'm just muting. Sorry, Jeremy, you were making a noise there, so I'm just muting you.
So yeah, good luck with that. But as I say, be very careful with sherry cask. It just reminds me of my children with paintbrushes, and they're trying to paint by painting by colours and numbers. You know, too much water just destroys the sherry. Just be very, very careful. And the one you're talking about is a world-class whiskey. It's time you open the damn thing. You're the most miserable bugger I've ever spoken to.
Just before you go,
my wife would agree with you.
A live opening right now.
I love your wife, Bill. I love your wife.
I'd love
to be honest, so do I.
Yeah, give her my best. Well, everybody, thank you for listening to my nonsense. I hope you've enjoyed the whiskey. I've enjoyed talking to you. And as I say, if it wasn't for you, there'd be no me. Whiskey would never survive without passionate people like you. And I respect you. I'm not saying that to please you, because I'll probably never see you again in my life. We need you. We need people like you who are doing tastings like this. You're getting educated. And it's you. Jesus did it with 10 men.
Yeah.
He spread it with 10 men. And it just, you know, it's amazing just because you are stand-fast single malt fans. And without you, there would be no industry. And I don't say that lightly to flatter you. It's just a fact of life. So thank you very much for listening to my nonsense tonight. Here's to you. Sláinte mhath.
Thank you.
Can I just say, Jim, 2 things just in case you were heading off. I know I like to get everybody's questions in. If someone raises one, Steve, you raised a quick. Is it okay, Jim, if I just let Steve ask his question, because I think that might be the last one.
Yeah, fire away.
Jim?
Yeah, hi Jim. Thank you for taking your time. I had the pleasure of trying one of your Celtic Heartlands, Kauila 30-year-old from 1980. Yeah, the 1980 vintage one, and I believe it's the Amarone cask, was it?
That's right.
Yeah, and I had it on my 36th birthday or something like that. I I wish I tasted it now because my palate is much more evolved. But my question was, what was the story behind that, the choice and the decision to have it in the Amarone cask?
I had tried virtually every cask in the world. You know, we were trying. Unless somebody steps outside the spaceship, we'll never know if man will get to, you know. So with the freedom I had at Bruichladdich, I could try. I had the ability and the freedom to go where no man has gone before. And that was it. That was the whole Bruichladdich ethos. We want to change the world of whiskey. We want to open it up. We want to be 100% transparent. No smoke and mirrors, just tell it as it is. It didn't make us very popular with the industry, but that's not what it's about. There's now 85 people working next door to me. 12 years ago, there was no bugger working there. So that's what it's about, you know. And so with Mark and Simon having all the associations in the wine, and Amarone is just, you know, Amarone summarizes everything about Italy. That, you know, it's just got that je ne sais quoi, it's stylish, it's, the women are beautiful, the guys are sharp. It's just a real class wine. And for me to get these casks was like truly unbelievable. And if somebody doesn't do it, nobody will ever learn. You understand? As I said to you at the start of this, Jesus gave it to 10 men. And now look at it. The story's out there. So you as whiskey fans, you have this, I put the same responsibility onto you. You've got great knowledge. Otherwise you wouldn't be sitting and watching this tonight. I charge you with a duty. You go out there and spread it. Tell them about it. Be proud of it, because we're a great nation. We're decent people. And without you, we're finished. We need you, ambassadors, unpaid ambassadors with knowledge, passion and skill. And that's what you guys have got in spades. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, more or less.
I hope you've enjoyed the wee chat. I'm sorry it took so long, but hey, there you go.
No, Jim, I think I'm talking for everybody for saying again, thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. And I personally have genuinely learned a lot tonight, and your passion shines through about it. I think you've charged us with an extra sort of zing in our step, I think, tonight. And we've had some great whiskies, but you've really kind of made them shine that little bit more. And I really appreciate that, Jim.
I know.
You know.
It's never a problem, because I have to say that I've met millions of people, not millions, I've met a lot of whiskey fans. And there's something about single malt fans. We all have the same DNA. It's incredible, whether it's in Germany or in France or Italy or Korea or wherever. There's just something about whiskey attracts a certain personality, and we've all got it. We're all in the same family. It's really that simple. You know what we're like. Good night, everybody, and thank you.
Well, sorry, Jim, just before you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please, Jim, don't go for a second, because I want, ideally, if possible, now onto the important stuff of raising a bit of cash for Gorton Bogey. You've got a very special bottle that you've put in, you're donating, and I can't thank you enough. But what I'd really like to do is make sure that your bottle gets the absolute best kind of salesman kind of sell on it. And I think only you, Jim, can sell this bottle, so we get the maximum bids for this bottle tonight. So if everybody can just have a look on the speaker view and just have a look at that bottle that Jim is going to flash in front of us. Oh, at the moment, I'm seeing Gary. Oh, there, right. Brilliant. So it's a Cask Whisperer, Octomore 2008, 322 bottles. Go for it, Jim. Is there anything you can say that's going to make sure we get maximum money for the care home?
Well, it's from my own cask. You know, I've made it. It's my own cask. I've matured it. It's one of my children. I treat it like a child, you understand? And there's a lovely picture of Loch Gruniert and Isla there. Yeah.
Well, Jim, I'm going to put in the first bid of £100. Bang, £100.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Jim, just to encourage us to bid, and for those of us that don't know much about the whiskies, can you give us an idea what the flavours are like in terms of, we've had 5 tonight, which one is it like? Because we all have some that we thought were better and preferred to our palates. Where would you put that one relative to those 5?
Oh, this is Octomore.
Yeah.
Right.
There's nothing like Octomore.
Yeah, there's not.
Well, that doesn't help those of us that have never had it.
Pete
So
cubed.
well, Jim.
You think of Pete squared, but this is Pete cubed.
Yeah.
So, Carl,
fantastic
Carl,
stuff.
I'll make
All
it
I can say is probably
What's the ppm on that one, Jim?
I think this one was up about 163.
So, Carl, I'll make it nice and easy. I'll go 150.
Right.
We'll go 160, 160 over here.
Oh, thank you, John.
So 160 from John and Joanne.
175, Carl.
175.
Did you
What
just?
was that, Becky? Becky? All right.
It's a
5, I
personal
think
bottle.
Dave just said it.
Guys, this is a personal bottle. You're not going to find this in a store in any city in the world.
And Jim's signing it as well.
I promise not to sign it. I promise.
180. Did I hear 180? Who said that?
I said that.
All right. Charlie said it. Yep.
200.
Yeah, no, you're getting there.
£200. Is that Kay?
Yes.
So £200 is the bid.
Carl, 225.
225 from Dave.
250.
250 from Becca and Ollie.
Oh, brilliant.
250. Going once.
275.
Oh my God.
275. 275.
Damn you, Dave.
Damn you, Dave.
275. Going once.
You know it's worth more than that.
I would say this bottle's worth about 250, honestly.
Going twice, and that's without Jim's signature.
There's a bid there for 300.
Woo!
Who said 300?
100.
Oh, it's down there.
Sorry, I missed it.
Well, I said it, but maybe it's online as well.
Kay's bid 300.
Kay's holding up a 300.
Okay, oh God, sorry, Kay, I missed it. You have to forgive me. I am an amateur at this. £300 is the bid.
Okay. Fantastic. Wonderful.
£300 going once.
325, Carl.
Oh, holy crap. 325.
Dave wants that ball.
Going twice.
I promise not to sign it.
Oh, 330 is the bid. £5 difference. We have to accept it. We'll take minimum £5 like uplifts here. We're not going to go with 50 pence or anything. So it's 330 to K.
335, Carl.
Oh, Christ almighty. Oh, guys, you can split the ball, you know. I don't want you busting over this. 335. Holy shit. 335 going once.
I'm being told by hubby no.
Yeah. 335 going twice.
Sold.
Sold for 335. Holy shit, Kay. And sorry if you're in trouble, but that was an amazing bid. But sorry, Dave, but whoa. Hold on,
Kay.
Dave, you got an amazing bottle, Dave. It's
Yeah.
probably one of my favorite bottles.
Yeah, Kay, that's a fantastic, well done, amazing.
Thank you very much, Kate. Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, that was Kay, 335.
Hang on, it was Dave who won it.
Oh, sorry, Dave. Oh, shit, sorry. So did you go 335, sorry?
Yes, I did, Carl.
All right, sorry.
All right, Dave. Well done. Thank you, Dave.
Pleasure,
Right.
Jim. Thank you very much. Everything you've
Dave,
done.
for an extra 20 quid, you leave the whiskey in the bottle.
Fantastic whiskey, Dave. Fantastic whiskey.
Dave
You will
should
not regret
pay
it.
for it, but Kay should have it. Is that possible? Because if Kay's got it, I'll get some.
No. Right, just we'll move on. Right, 3:35. A fantastic, amazing bid. Sorry, Dave. It's late in the night. I'll blame that.
Jim, thank you very much for everything you've done. It's well worth it.
Yeah.
Yes, everybody.
We will sort getting the bottle to you, Dave. And I should say that the bid, any shipment cost or whatever will come out of the bid. So you don't, there's no shipment cost. We'll sort that out separately. So Dave, fantastic. Thank you very much. And Jim, amazing. Thank you very much for your job.
Thank you, everybody. You've been great. It's a great night. Slant you back.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. So we do obviously have a few other bottles. Was the star of the evening. I'll grant you that much because, that was amazing of Jim to put that in. But we do have some amazing lots as well. So please stick around because we're hoping to raise some more money for the care home on Isla. And actually, even with just that bid from Dave, with the amount that we've done so far, I think we're probably hitting nearly £1,000 that we've raised. So that's fantastic. It's amazing.
I told you when I saw you 2 weeks ago or a week and a bit ago that you would make it on that bottle alone. I told you would do it.
I think you were just trying to prove it just yourself and your bid. Well done. Well, it was Kay. I actually paid Kay to push the bottle price up.
Guys, I'm going to cut in and say goodnight.
I was joking.
I'm going to cut in and say goodnight to you all. Thank you for listening to my nonsense. It's been a great night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, Jim.
Thank you, Jim.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it has been. There's no doubt.
Carl, can you give us an idea of how many bottles you've got in the auction? That way you won't have people missing out on bidding for ones.
We have 2 lots that were actually donated by Kay, and then we've got a whiskey broker Kalila. The Bumore 15-year-old is one of the lots from Kay, along with the very rare ale set that I'll cover in a second. We then have a whiskey broker 9-year-old, a Glenmoray Chardonnay cask, which I've got a bottle of, thankfully, but that's going to be shipped directly from Glenmoray to the winner. So I'll show you that in a second. We also have been donated a single cask, or from the single cask. So, thanks very much to Ed Lee. He's put in a single cask, and I'll put up the link. It is, if I remember rightly, that might also be a Kalila as well. Sorry, and I think that's it. Have I covered everybody?
Missed our chance now, Carl. Though we've missed our chance because Tim sat back down, and traditionally, Tim's the auction master. I was hoping you were going to, while he popped out there, I was hoping you were going to start. We might have had a chance, but now Tim's back. We're all knackered.
Well, we will see. We will see. But
sorry to interrupt you there, Glenn. I'll chuck in a bottle of the Bunnahabhain that was on the tasting tonight into that auction for you.
Oh, you're kidding!
Oh, nice one.
So we have also this bottle that Billy very kindly shared with us. So there's one of these going in for the auction as well. In fact, we'll leave that one till last if that's all right, Billy. Unless you have to, do you have to disappear at all?
I probably will have. So just do what you need to do, man, and just let me know the details.
Well, I'll tell you what. No, we'll do that bottle now. We'll do the oven now. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Right. So there's about if I remember rightly, there's about 6 lots, including the Bunnahabhain left. Okay. So we'll do the Bunnahabhain now. So, well, I don't know about you guys.
Is this an unopened Bunnahabhain as opposed to one you keep showing saying it's this one?
It is a new bottle, and between Billy and I, we'll sort out getting it shipped to you and stuff. So, but like I say, the auction hammer price that you pay tonight, that'll include postage to any UK address. So we'll get it sorted. But you just pay what you're going to bid tonight, okay?
I'm glad you added that since we've got people from Florida here.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's UK addresses only, okay? So I'm gonna kick off the bidding at 80 quid.
120.
£80 from me. How much, Cameron?
120.
120?
140.
140?
160.
Who said one? Was that Kay? You said 160?
Becca.
All right, okay, so both of you said 160, so somebody's got to say 165.
170.
180.
That's like a game of darts, isn't it? 180.
180 to Rebecca so far.
200.
Did Bill say 200 there?
I did.
£200. Bill's got it at 200 at the moment. Going once.
220.
Sharp intake of breath.
Yes.
220, Rebecca. They're determined to get this one.
Ignoring the husband.
220, and it is for an amazing cause as well. So, I mean, that is a fantastic bid. We have 220 going once.
225.
Oh.
225. 225 going once.
230.
I'm Team Becca here. I'm not saying the word Becca bar that. I'm not placing any bids, but I'm Team Becca.
230. Which is, of course, when the Chinaman went to the dentist.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you've got to dig the old ones out sometimes.
So we have 230 going twice.
235.
I didn't hear anything. I think Bill's internet crapped out there. I really didn't hear a word.
235 is the bid from Bill.
240.
Holy crapola!
It's yours.
240 going once. 240 going twice. Gone for 240. Holy shit, a brick.
Couldn't put it better myself, Carl. Holy shit, well done, Becca. Thank you so much.
Wow. Wow. Oh my God. Right. Well, I mean, this is kind of putting the next bottle, which is donated by Lorraine and I, into some sort of context. But Lorraine and I have donated this bottle. I don't know if you want to just, Mike, can you just highlight it? Because this is the next lot. Thank you very much, Rebecca, by the way, and Ollie. Although I said,
It's a gorgeous dram. It's a fantastic dram. There's none left.
Yeah, well, this is a little bit of a corker. It is a big fave of mine. And we had a bottle that I got a couple of them. So this one is going in as the next lot. So just in case you can't see, it's a 9-year-old whiskey broker, single cask. This is bottle number 46 of 256. It's been, I believe it was finished in a red wine barrique. It was filled on the 5th of December 2010 and bottled on the 6th of the 5th, 2020. And I love it. It's a lovely bottle. And I think even not long after it got released, it sold out pretty quick or pretty much straight away. And even just after it, I think the first auctions that had these bottles, they were hitting 65, 70 quid on the auctions back in July or something when they'd just been released. So I'm trying to big it up here, but it is a gorgeous dram. So, and if anybody's experienced it, they'll hopefully be able to confirm.
I can confirm that, Carl. I can confirm that.
I've got one as well. Carl, I'll kick you off at 60 quid.
So we have a bid straight away.
Carl,
I'll go 70.
75, Jason.
75 to Dave so far. This is a spectacular dram, £75.
Oh, 80.
Oh, we have 80. Thank you, Jason. £80.
Well deserved.
Going what?
Well deserved.
Going once, £80. Is that right? Going twice. Oh, Jason. Go on, you have it for 80 quid, I'll let you. I was tempted to bid actually on my own goddamn bottle there. 80 quid, thank you very much. That's a fantastic bid.
Be in touch.
Well
Thank
done,
you. Brilliant. Right, so what I'll do is I'll just show you the bottle from Glenmoray, because I've got one. And again, it's down to our mate Ian Allen. So this is the Glenmoray. It was the Chardonnay cask for anybody who took part in the virtual tasting that we did with Glenmoray. This is one of the bottles. I had to get one.
Bill.
Yeah.
So this is it.
60 quid.
Just about finished, love.
Haven't even started the bidding yet.
60 quid.
Okay, £60.
80. No, you're not allowed to leave until you've bid it.
I haven't even started. Right, sorry. What are we on? 80 quid.
Yeah.
£80. Okay. So it's 15.9%. It's like I say, Chardonnay cask distilled in 2003. I'm not sure when it was actually bottled. I think it's something like a 16-year-old. Anyway, that's the bottle. If you want any more information, I'm sure Google will help you. But we're at £80.
Who's got the 80 quid bid, Glenn?
I think it was it John and Joanne that had 80?
I said 80, but I don't know whether somebody else did.
All right, okay, so
60.
All right, okay, so £80, David. David, it's £80 to you so far. So £80 going once.
I'll go 85, Carl.
90.
85.
I'll
Who said?
go.
So we've got 90.
I'll go 95.
95 from Ian.
100.
100 from David.
I'll go 105.
Ooh, 105.
110.
110 from David.
I'll go 115.
125.
Ooh. Now, no animosity between you two, by the way. 125 was that? Did I hear right?
Yep.
Going once for 125. Going twice for 125. Sold for 125. Thank you very much for your bid in there. Thank you.
Cheers, Glenn.
125. I'm literally making a note of the amount. If you can make sure, if you just drop me a note, because my note taking is terrible, but I am making sure I'm getting the figure at least. So if you can drop me a note after the event to make sure that we can sort out the shipment and everything. So 125, that's fantastic. Thank you very much. Brilliant. Right. So moving on quickly, we will touch on the two lots that Kay very kindly donated. So this is the Bamor 15-year-old darkest. So I will just dig out the bottle. 43% of loveliness. That's what we're bidding on next. So Bamor 15-year-old darkest.
50 quid.
£50 the bid. £50.
One of my favourites, that.
It is a beautiful dram. £50. Thank you, Joanne.
£60.
£60. We have a bid of £60. Thank you, Mike.
Very good with dark chocolate.
Mm.
Oh, well, in that case, 65.
It used to be called Bamor Darkest before Bamor changed all of their whiskies to age statements. So it's Bamor Darkest, this.
Yeah. So
if somebody beats that, I'll donate a bar of dark chocolate to go with it if somebody beats that price.
So £65 is the bid so far, but if somebody goes £70, you'll get a bar of dark chocolate too. So £65 is the bid. Going once. Going twice.
I'll make it 70 just to get the chocolate and the fivers for a good cause, since I had the 65 winning bid anyway.
Thank you very much, Gary. So
You're welcome.
I'll go to Aldi tomorrow to get the chocolate.
Ah! Rich and dark, just like my window. No, I can't say that joke.
Best.
Thank you.
So we have a bid of £70. Thank you very much, Gary. £70 going once.
We're going 75.
Oh.
75 from Rebecca and Ollie.
Sweet Ollie. Ollie's going.
Ollie's going £75. £75 going once.
What type of chocolate?
2 bars. 2 bars of posh stuff. I'm going a Milky Bar for them that don't like dark chocolate.
So, 75 going twice.
80.
Oh! £80. Now, does Ollie have any response to that?
And a Turkish delight.
£80 going once. £80 going twice. £80 gone. Cheers. Thanks very much. Thanks.
Thank you. I hope I like it.
Somebody get Gary a cigar.
Yeah. Yes, I'll have to have a nice cigar with it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, guys. So it comes to we have two lots left, and this is a really interesting lot. And again, this was the second item that Kay provided. Now, I don't know if you want to just put it on speaker view for a second, Mike, just so I can.
40 quid. 40 quid.
Oh my God, I haven't even showed it yet. £40. Thank you very much for that bid. So,
You're in a feeding frenzy, Carl.
So this is a very I don't know what you might call it, collection or so I don't know if you can read their Museum Brewing Company.
Do you want me to tell the story of how I came
please
across
do.
any of this?
And
Okay, so basically I used to work for Bass Brewers back in the day, and as employees we were privileged to go and meet the Queen and her hubby, and 2 ales were brewed for them. So they're both bottle conditioned ales. There's a limited edition card. There's a card telling you all about them as well. I got them, I can't remember what year it was, Carl. I didn't tell you, it was about
2002, 3rd of July.
2002, that's right. So they're bottle conditioned ales. The Duke's ale is over 10%. And the Queen's ale, and again, I can't remember the ABV of the Queen's ale.
I'll tell you. So the Queen's Ale is 10.5%.
Yeah, so it must be the Duke's ale that's a little bit lower.
So that's the information on the back. I don't know if you can read it.
No, it was employees only anyway that got these bottles. I think it was limited to 3,000 sets.
This is unique pack 2,416, 3,300.
There you go, 3,300 then. And it's been kept in its box in my garage ever since. Yeah, that's the Duke's, and the Duke's is 6.5.
6.5, yeah.
So yeah, so nearly, 18, 19 years old now, bottle conditioned.
Now,
the recipe of the Queen's Ale, I believe, was one that was copied from Edward VII, and they opened a bottle after 100 years and it was still drinkable. So yeah, bit of history.
I will try and just show the box again. You'll have to forgive me because I'm not a huge amount of space here, but if I just... So that's the...
I know we're friends, but one day I'm going to break in your house and steal all your stuff.
I love that, James Eady.
I'm just
Anyway.
Joanne.
Jason needs outbidding, so 75.
Who, what?
Jason is
What is-
outbidding, so
Oh,
75.
very nice. Wow.
£75 is the bid so far by Jason. So going at £75.
I thought I was outbidding Jason. I thought it was at 50.
Not even sure I bidded.
Oh, sorry, have I picked? Hang on. Right, what's happened? Who's bid the last amount?
I bid 75.
Oh, you bid, sorry. Right,
I got
sorry.
and that was from John.
Right. So we've got £75 bid from Mike. Is that the last bid? Is that right?
I think so.
80 quid.
Right.
You've go on.
Who
Well, I
said
think
80?
someone's outbidding me.
Who's 80?
No.
Yes, we are.
All right, John and Joanne are bidding £80. £80.
It means we've got to keep the Turkish delight.
£80 going once. By the way, I did a little bit of searching around to try and find an auction equivalent of this.
Nothing.
Nothing. There's nothing because this is so rare. That's all I'm saying. Trying to big it up. £80 going twice. £80 and sold to the attractive couple called John and Joanne. Well done.
It's like
Well,
having
very
Del Boy and Rodders. You're doing a grand job there, Carl.
Excellent.
Carl's independent fighters.
Right, so that brings us to the final lot of the evening. And it is a single cask. I will get the link actually, because I had the link prepared earlier. If you bear with me a second. Oh no, sorry, we've got two more. Sorry, we've got two more. Did we do the Glengarry?
No.
Not yet. No, we haven't. Oh shit, so we've actually got three more lots, sorry.
Like I said, Del Boy and Rodders.
Don't
Yeah.
worry, guys. There's 15
Right.
more lots.
Yeah, 15 more lots. Right. So this is the link for the one I've just said, the single cask. So I'll just share that with everybody. So this is 6-year-old. And to just look at that link. So it's, I mean, I don't know if anybody's tried this one. I have. It's a glorious whiskey.
I have tried it as well. It's amazing.
It is. It's a. Just don't think of this from the age point of view. This is a lovely. This is a lovely dram. 59.1%. Again, it includes the postage in that, and so I will kick this off myself. Actually, I'm going to bid 40 quid for this. No problem.
50.
So I'll put in the first bid 40 quid.
Carl, 50.
£50. Thank you very much, Dave.
60.
Who said 60? Sorry.
Hey.
All right, Kay. Thank you very much. £60 is the bid by Kay. Thank you very much.
75, Carl.
75. Holy shit! I mean, that's it. That's more than you can actually just go and buy it. Thank you very much, Dave. And it is
perfect.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. £75 is the bid. £75 going once. 70 pie.
Take more water with it, Carl.
75 going twice. 75 sold. Well done. Cheers, Dave. And thank you for the bids. Thank you very much.
Well done, Dave.
Thank you. Right. So moving along swiftly, the next is this wonderful bottle. I'll just put the link up again on Zoom. But there's something a little special about this one. And I don't know if everybody saw it or not, but this bottle, cool edition that's been donated by Whiskey Online Auctions or Whiskey Online Shop as well. Again, thank you very much to Tim Roberts for donating this. but this is not just any bottle. It is signed by Fred Lang himself. So, and Tim is keeping this bottle to do a special like raffle for it for a new website that they were launching. And instead, he's actually offered this to us for this auction. So thank you very much for him and Whiskey.
I'll have £80, please.
Holy shit. Holy shit. £80 is the bid already. Thank you very much, Cameron, for opening up. I'm hoping it might be opening, but that's a canny bid. Is anybody going to outbid you? I wonder. £80 is
Carl, I don't know if we missed something, but we don't know what it is. What are we bidding for here?
All right.
I don't know if
Show it on the
it's
camera, Carl. Not everyone's got the link working, obviously.
Yeah, if you just hold it up or something. 'Cause we can't
I
see
haven't
what
got
it
the
is.
bottle. It's going to be sent directly.
Oh, okay.
So I haven't actually got a bottle of it. But
So
what
Carl, maybe
okay.
maybe if I help,
Give
so
us 2
guys.
seconds to have a look.
So it's Big Pete, the Blackpool edition #1. It's a Whiskey Online exclusive. It's an Islay blended malt Scotch whiskey from Douglas Lang. Earlier this summer we had a visit to our.
Oh, there we are. Well done.
Yeah. But like I say, the big difference here is that it's signed both on the bottle and on the actual cover. Actually, Mike, if you could go on to the actually, it doesn't matter. I was going to say the site has got the pictures of the actual bottle signatures and also signed on the sleeve as well. So yeah, that.
So who's it signed by, Carl?
By Fred Lang.
Right. And who the hell's Fred Lang?
So Fred Lang is basically the chairman.
He's the main man.
Ah, right.
He's the main man at at Lang.
Hunter Lang. He's like
Hunter Lang.
I think I win.
So
what are we at now?
The other quirky guy with the moustache.
Yeah. Yeah. So
he'll love how you described him there.
So the bid is £80 going once. Do I hear 85? No. £80 going twice. Sold. Thank you very much for the bid, Cameron. Thank you
very much.
That's amazing. Thank you. Holy shit. Well, I can tell you now, we smashed the £1,000. Not a problem there. We're way over that. Fantastic, guys. Thank you very much. I'll just make a note of that one. So the Fred Lang bottle. Right, and the final bottle is this one. I haven't actually got I haven't got a bottle of this, I don't think. Have I got the Glengarry? It would probably take me 10 minutes to find it, so I'm just going to post the link up.
It's got to be worth more, Carl, if it's a bottle you haven't got, surely.
Let's have a look. Right,
I'm
posting up the
Carl's
link.
got the bottle and it's open.
I'm going to search. I'm going to search for that.
Ouch.
Right, but that's the link. It's a Lady of the Glen bottle. Thank you very much to Gregor, Hannah, and Lady of the Glen for, again, donating this bottle. It's an amazing bottle. 2008 Glengarry. It is stunning. I have tried this before. In fact, I'm certain I have some of a bottle somewhere, but I'm not going to try and look for it now. Otherwise, we might be here for a while. Mike's sharing it. There you go. It's a stunner. So what do I hear in terms of a bid for this Glengarry 2008?
105.
105 is the bid. £105 for the Glengarry. £105 going once. This is the final lot. 105 going twice. Is there any whiskey-fueled bids due to come in?
I've just got the bottle of Springbank 18 and I'm still not willing.
So, £105. Did I do the twice? I'm going to do the twice again. 105 going twice. 105.
110.
Oh, Stuart, I understood you there. £110 from Stuart Munro, our mate Stuart. Well done, brilliant bid. Will anybody beat that one, or is Stuart going away with this lovely bottle? £110 going once. 110 going twice. 110 to Stuart. Well done, mate. Thank you very much for the bids. That's amazing. So I can do a quick tot-up, but while I'm doing that, I don't know if you want to just kind of hang out and let us know what you thought of this fantastic arrangement of whiskies. I hope you enjoyed them. I know which one I loved the most. I think was the Star for me. But guys, if you are leaving, thank you very much for taking part. We have done an amazing thing tonight. Not just had some fun, hopefully, but we've raised some really good money. And just to let you know, when I was talking to the care island, they said that they were going to use whatever money we could raise, and they were going to hopefully do a potting shed in the care home for the residents. So your money, I suspect, is going to be more than they ever thought. I mean, I'd said, I'm hoping to get about 500 quid for you, you know, and they said, that'll be amazing. You know, that'll get us hopefully a big chunk of a potting shed, or maybe even the whole thing. I suspect your money's going to do the job. So I will arrange for everybody to just sort out payments, and I'll make the payment over to Gordon Vogie directly. They have a trust that we pay the money into, and it is guaranteed to go just to the care home. Hey guys, amazing. You know.
Been an excellent night, Carl. Looking forward to the next one you can organise.
Thank you, Carl.
You just amaze me. You fill me up, I tell you, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I don't know if you want to, if you are sticking around, please do let us know what you think of the lineup of the whiskies and stuff. I'm not going anywhere for the minute. I'm going to tot up how much money we've raised and see if I can get a ticket tonight. Fantastic. I hope you had fun. I did. Thank you. Carry on. I'm going to start adding up, which I'll probably screw up.
So was there anybody that had a top drama of the night? I know mine was kind of a toss up between the Bruichladdich, actually, the Bruichladdich and the Bunahana.
Yeah, I like the Bruichladdich as well. That was wonderful. I'll have to try and see where I can get one from now.
Yeah, I'm into Buna. Stole the show for me. It was exceptional.
Bunahana all day long.
Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to outbid other people. That's the upsetting bit.
Yeah, I fancied bidding on that one myself until it went.
I hate to say, so the Bruichladdich is a Valinch, so it's distillery only, and the number 50, I think, Carl, correct me if I'm wrong, I can't remember when the 50 was out. I don't think it's on anymore. Could be wrong.
I was really hoping it was still available, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're right. I wasn't sure if it was still in or not. I mean, I was literally going to ring them on Monday and ask for a bottle, so they may well be gone already.
Yep. Well, if they have any, Carl, send a note on, because I think we'd all like to get one of those.
Well,
buy one and have an auction again.
I will find out if they've got any left, and if they have, I could put it, because one of the problems with buying and getting it shipped is they charge £15 whether you buy one bottle or 10.
Find how many they've got. We'll probably all get one each.
No. Yeah, I can see.
I'll have one.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can get some.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Good whiskey, good women, and good cigars. So far, I can manage 1 out of 3.
Well,
I'm open to offers on the other 2.
I can tell you now that just on the auction, does anybody want to put in a guess roughly how much we've raised just from the auction alone?
1,200.
1,200 quid.
1,500.
£1,205.
Yay!
That's good.
£1,205. Holy shit. That's amazing.
You wanted to break £1,000 in total, Carl?
Sorry?
You wanted to break £1,000 in total, and you're about 600 just from the tasting.
Yeah. So we are hitting probably going to be something like it's going to be £100.
Excellent.
Brilliant.
Carl, I look forward to the next one. This was good.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
And for me, by the way, I thought the Bunner just pipped the. In fact, I love the Lefroy. Actually, to be honest, that shone through, and I did actually enjoy the Lagavulin. I enjoyed the drum, but for me, I think the Bunner just pipped it for me.
I like
It's got
the
magic that nobody
Lagavulin,
can explain.
Yeah. It was interesting to hear Jim saying it was a good whiskey, but not as good as it could have been because it'd been in the wrong cask. I'm thinking, how the hell does he know that? That's a real talent he's got there.
I disagreed with that. I think the Lagavulin showed off the distillery spirit more than some Lagavulin expressions could have. And I think that's an important aspect of a release. Is you're showing off the distillery new make rather than the whiskey at the end of it that's been finished in 15 years of sherry, for example.
You should have said that while he was still there.
I was too scared.
He'd get twatted if he said that. He didn't want to do that.
I know what you're saying, Cameron.
Cameron, it's still been recorded. You'll still be able to see what you said.
We touched on that before, Cam, as well, like on the last tasting as well, was about, the importance of a distillery DNA and its new make. And that kind of, after that last tasting, prompted me to chase up Ian McAllister and ask him if he could send me that bottle of new make for
brilliant, yeah,
the last Glen Scotia tasting. And to be fair, I think it worked on a certain level, but then I think on certain people's level as well, and I don't know whether that was maybe where I placed the new make in the tasting, but the idea was we had the 15, which was a 46%, and then everything else was kind of cast strength. So I switched it and I put the new make in as a second dram, but on the proviso that everybody was to taste it with caution and to kind of use that as a reference point throughout the next sort of 3 drams, just to see if you could pick out that sort of DNA from the distillery. And you clearly could, you could clearly pick it out, whether it was a sherry cask or a bourbon cask or whatever it was, you could still pick out those distinctive.
I think a refill cask is an important part to play in the whiskey bravado, if you like. You want to be able to taste that DNA, but it's interesting to see what a finish or a longer maturation in sherry or some crazy wine cask can do. And it's important to know both aspects of that, because if you don't, then you don't know what you're tasting really.
Yeah.
So Cameron, I think you make a really good point there, because I think Jim's notes, and I love Jim. I've met him before a couple of times. Well, I've met him once properly. I think he comes at this from a very different angle from probably the vast majority of us. He comes at it from a scoring perspective, as in where would I put this in a rank of, stack rank of places. I absolutely agree with you that, refill casks or second, third refill casks have a place, because it shows off the distillate. It has a little bit of, whiskey has to mature in something. You can't mature it in, it has to be oak. It can't be something made of stainless steel, for example. Therefore, you're effectively going to get the same product out 10 years later than you put in. But I think that, when you look at a mile down the road, you have Ardbeg selling a 40% chill filtered product for the same amount of money. It's an interesting comparison.
Agreed. I think consistency is boring.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody would be on this group or in taking part in virtual tastings if they were looking genuinely for consistency. I mean, it has its place, because let's face it, we all started off our journey probably in that consistency, looking at core expressions, usually on supermarket shelves, and that consistency was great for introducing you to whiskey. But I think when you get to a certain point, you're genuinely looking for strange, you're looking for weird and unique and odd. It just is your natural kind of progression.
Absolutely.
For a lot of people.
Also as well, Carl, is like there is that point that Lagavulin have never moved. They've never moved. It's like they don't do single cask. They don't give cask out to anybody now. They very seldom do anything bar or sort of like bourbon sherry sort of mix. you know, it's almost like they've been stuck in this time warp of, well, it's not broke, so we're not going to fix it. And everybody keeps raving on about our 16-year-old, so we'll just keep punting that out. And then they've obviously now got their 8-year-old, which again, I love the 8-year-old. I really do. I really enjoy it. I think it's a great addition to the portfolio. But they're not doing anything trying to push any boundaries, and they don't even want to, by the looks of things.
But if Lagavulin released a 3-4-year-old, I would eat it up. I would, because I want to taste that spirit at its youngest, sort of roughest stage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I totally agree. Even that jazz festival tonight, you know, is like Jim said, was probably more still influenced or spirit influenced than it was cask influenced. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, it's like there's people out there who want to take Lagavulin for what it tastes like. You know.
Can I just jump in and ask if I mean, I'm just curious, and forgive me if I jump in on you, because I'm conscious that maybe some might not necessarily be jumping in with their views on this, but I'd be really keen to hear. Maybe let me pick on somebody. Say Callum and Kate, guys. I don't know if you don't mind. You know, I always pick on you. So,
yes, you're picking up your records here, absolutely. Every single time, but that's okay. I have to agree with Cameron a little bit. I quite liked the Lagavulin. And like Cameron, I was also too scared to say anything about it. Almost everybody that asked the question was a complete fool, an idiot. Why are you asking that question? That's what it felt like. But yeah, clear winner obviously was the Bunnahabhain of the night, no question at all.
But they were all very nice. It's going to be very hard. We always kind of go back to them after tasting and try and rank them. And it's going to be very hard to do that.
I've actually saved a half
Oh,
sample.
look at him. He's got some left. How have you managed to do that, Gary? I was trying to do that, save half to later. And after the first one, I thought, there's not enough. I just used all of them on each one.
Well,
I'll save you the ball.
I get carried away a lot of the time, and I do just kind of swig them, and then I don't, because there's a bit of a time constraint to these tastings as well, and I totally understand why that is, you know, especially when we're doing these things and we're asking these guys to take the time out, and this is work for them, you know. These guys have got to do this stuff on a fucking Saturday evening, you know. It's like when they should be sitting watching.
And Gary, that was really nice of you to a haircut, especially for Jim as well.
Do you like it? You know,
I mean, I've ranked up 31524.
If only could smell the cologne, you know.
Carl, can I just say, I'd love to get people's opinions on this, if I may. So I think that starting off with the Bruichladdich, I think that could have been dram number 3, despite the fact that dram number 3, as it was the Ardbeg drum. I think, personally, the Bruichladdich would have stood up beyond the peated version, or obviously the peated Ardbeg, which is the rum cask finish. Personally, I'd love to hear what other people think. So I think that stood up by itself.
No, you can't make traditional.
So I actually went back to taste the first 2 after trying all 5, and somehow they still stood out on their own. Like the sherry still came out, the distillate still came out, and like the peat actually didn't cover any of it, which actually surprised me.
I think you could have put dram 1 and 2, the Bruichladdich and the Bunnahabhain. You could have put them last. It just, especially for me too, the Bunna was a clear favourite.
Yeah,
they just had that little bit extra. They had that little bit more that just delivered better.
Agreed. Steve's very wise.
I think that's why I kept sort of half a dram of each as well, was because I'd quite like to enjoy these just kind of one at a time and actually sit and spend a bit of time with that little bit, you know, and I can assess it in a bit more detail. Whereas, you know, when you're doing these online tastings, it can kind of end up that you're just hammering through them fairly quick, and you don't really get the full appreciation of it, you know. So yeah, I'm looking forward to going back to them all again with a bit more time.
You should have done that. They're tasting their night.
Yeah. Once all these lockdowns are finished, we should do a society road trip around some of the distilleries. Because I appreciate some advice from you guys and girls going round, because I'm still finding my way around all these distilleries.
Come visit my distillery.
Our annual trip is being organised now, and we're doing Campbelltown and then Isla.
I didn't even know there was an annual trip. Marvelous.
Well, I don't tend to. You know me. I'm really good at promotion and marketing and stuff. So I don't.
Sorry, guys. I'm going to run out of battery, so I better see you later.
Yeah, Cameron, great thanks for joining.
Much appreciated. See you later on, guys. Pleasure.
But definitely, you can't beat a good tour of heading into Scotland and doing Speyside or Isla, or a mix of them. If you
yeah, that'd be good if there's one getting up. Count me in for some details. Carl, I saw on the Facebook page you were mooting about having some sort of get together next week as well for Halloween. Is that still a possibility?
No, I just realised that there was no way I was going to have enough time to make sure that everybody got sets and stuff. So I decided to knock that on the head.
Well, instead of a tasting, why don't we just have a virtual get together like we had a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely up for that. Obviously, there just wouldn't be a tasting set. But if anybody's floating around on Friday, we could. And I'm pretty sure Mike hopefully will be able to sort of make sure we've got the support from him as well to do that.
Speaking of the lovely Mike, might it not be a good idea to stop recording now, because people are probably going to be bored?
Oh yeah. So I guess Mike, is that all right to stop the recording?